All right, guys, welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you are new here. Thank you guys so much for joining me today and waiting patiently, as always, for the intro to finish up. And I see that we have Fred. Maybe he'll be my ADHD Vance. Fred Vance coming in. Long time no see, man. Good to see that membership badge. Never gets old. Every time I see long-time members and I see that badge, I'm like, cool. Like, I'm actually jealous because there are people that have been members of my channel longer than I've been a member of my own channel. So they have the cooler badge. But Fred, thank you so much for dropping 5 membership gifts right out of the gate. I mean, literally right as we start. He says, don't challenge me on the ADHD. We'll see. We'll see where things go today, Fred. But just like that, we got 5 to add to the counter, and I will let you guys know, and I'll probably continue to let you know. Also, need to get away from that. We did do a members lounge yesterday. Okay, so a lot of people have been waiting for another members lounge. We had one yesterday. It was pretty good. It was a little bit all over the place, but I guess that's to be expected. And Fred, here's your soundbite, buddy. Wants to get crazy today. Saw Corey in the chat a moment ago. Lady Gamer. Double the price, speculation or facts? We're going to get into that. Irfan, what's going on, man? Prince G, Steel Blitz, Metropolitan, Early Bud. Fred, you're saying you worked yesterday, got paid triple time for it? Good stuff, dude. Good stuff. You on that grind? On that Sigma male grind set? I'm just kidding, Fred. That's good stuff, though, man. State of play tomorrow. Yes, we will be reacting to it. The state of play for me is happening at 2 p.m. So we'll basically be about 2 hours into the stream, and we'll check out 007 First Light, see what Sony is showing us. I mean, you know, the hope is, like I said yesterday, that they're going to do more than that. I think they are. I think we got some good stuff coming later this month. I'm surprised, though, Jeff Grubb hasn't said anything. So we'll see. We'll see if we hear from Jeff Grubb before the end of the week. Made a week's pay in 10 hours. That's good shit, Fred. Nice, dude. Prince G says, I only got paid double yesterday. I'm jealous. Michael says, hi, boss. Boss says, sup, bro? What's up, Michael? I'm going to scream today like I did yesterday and scare the shit out of everybody. That was crazy. I'm pretty sure he just farted, though, because of the way I grabbed him. That's wonderful. All right. Boss, you can go now, dude. Oh, my God. I'm going to have to... I think I'm going to have to, like, tighten the screws of the bolts on this thing. It's pretty loose. Thing's gonna collapse one day when boss goes to jump up on it. Mrs. MBG did want me to tell you guys she got boss new treats, freeze-dried just salmon. I think they're like healthier treats. They're dog and cat treats. Interesting. Dog and cat treats. Looks kind of gross, not gonna lie. Does look a lot healthier though. So guys, if we hit that 25 member goal today, I know Mrs. MBG wants to see if boss is going to like these or not. Did I get Death Stranding 2's last trophy? I didn't yet, Irfan, because I'm thinking I'm going to stream it. Honestly. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to stream it. We've streamed Death Stranding 2 like 4 times at this point. The road to platinum. And I feel like it just makes sense that if I'm going to do the road to platinum, I got to stream the actual acquisition of the platinum. You know what I mean? I was really trying to do it last stream. It was like 4 hours, but I was like, I can't do it anymore. I got to take a little break. All these deliveries. Whenever I play GTA Online, I always pick up a Streetwalker. Digital dude, I feel like that's the most, like, that's one of the most common things in GTA, bro. Why do we do this? What is wrong with us? Daniel, you're working on your Death Stranding 2 Platinum. Good stuff, man. Yeah, it's no joke. It's no joke. Metropolitan, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. That's very sad. Yeah. Yeah, there's no worse feeling than the feeling of powerlessness. You've been playing Gears Reloaded. It's pretty fun, but some of the people online are crazy good. Yeah, I've been seeing some of the clips floating around, dude. It's no joke. I wouldn't even try. I'm like, I'm good, bro. I'm good. Digital dude, your name is Daniel. I didn't know that. Michael says, I want the Delta Platinum. We got 2 Daniels and 2 Michaels. Yeah, the Metal Gear Delta Platinum, I'm not sure how difficult that's going to be. I think, like, believe it or not, when I was looking over the trophy list for Metal Gear Solid Delta, the thing that really got me was like, man, I don't want to get all the collectibles. Like, I don't want to get all the Gakkos and Keratin frogs. That to me is the most annoying. You know, trying to do something like a Foxhound run is actually kind of fun, you know, to challenge yourself. But I can't stand collectibles, man. But I, you know, I imagine I'm gonna have to do it at some point. If they throw a 5090 in with the Xbox, it'll be worth it. Well, let me give you a quick rundown of what we're going to talk about today, guys. We have a report here that talks about the next generation Xbox. Seemingly, it's based off of insiders who are very privy to what's going to be inside of these consoles and these boxes and what's going to make up this hardware, as well as manufacturing costs. They're saying it's probably going to be about double the price of the PlayStation 6, or they wouldn't at all be surprised if it's close to being double the price of the PS6. And I find this very, very interesting because, you know, as we approach the next generation, as we get closer to it, naturally, people are going to compare these things. You know, it's going to be hard to walk away from the competition that was between Sony and Microsoft. And I think a lot of people are still going to view this as competition between them. But I do think that what we're beginning to look at is the pricing of these consoles and of this hardware is going to make it abundantly clear that, oh no, there is no competition here. These are 2 separate products targeting separate groups of people. I think that's what we're looking at. So we'll go over that report. Apparently, Capcom is blaming the PS5 price point for Monster Hunter sales, which is crazy because Monster Hunter is the best-selling game of the year. So we're going to cover that. That's kind of wild. And apparently the PS4 is still getting games, dude. Like, we are still seeing developers backporting their games to PS4. More proof that if you want to know what next generation is going to look like with cross-gen, we're seeing it right in front of us right now. But it'll be multiplied by 2. And we'll talk about some other things as well, as always. Fred, you're saying you got a new puppy. He may be as fluffy or fluffier than my late Nim Nim. Well, that's cool, man. It's always nice to get a new pet, especially a puppy. Sorry to hear about Nim Nim. Sorry to hear about that. What is going on? Okay. Hold on one sec. All right. Digital Dude says, what's better name, Streetwalkers or Street Lizards? I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't tell you. Monster Hunter Fatigue, it seems like a new game comes out every 2 years. I think, yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds has a couple of problems, I think. That, and I don't think the PS5 price, truthfully, is a big problem for Monster Hunter Wilds. I really don't. I mean, could it be contributing a little bit? Maybe. You know, it's like if the PS5 price was $350 or $400 right now, sure, maybe you'd sell more copies of Monster Hunter Wilds. But yeah, man, it's interesting to see that that's what Capcom. It almost feels like Capcom's trying to like. It's almost like they're trying to scapegoat the PS5 for their investors, where it's like it's not the game's fault, it's not our fault, it's the PS5 price point's fault. Like, okay, I guess. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. Let me see. Oh wow, Cerberus. That's a cute puppy. Those are some cute dogs, Fred. That's cool, man. Appreciate you sharing that. MBG, I'm doing a research project. What's your last name and address? A research project, digital dude, really? Yeah, that's what Square did with FF16. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. I think I get it. Like, I understand why the publishers they're going to look at the PS5 and Sony and the platform, and if they can offload some of the blame, they're going to do that. And I get it. I would, you would do the same thing if you were running one of these publishers. Michael Werniff says, if the likes reach 100, I will gift memberships. Well, there we go. Michael's challenging you guys, or tempting you guys. Maybe not a challenge, but he's throwing it up there. He's saying if we hit 100 likes, he'll drop memberships. What's your social security number? Yeah, let me just let you know. Well, guys, we are sitting at 42 likes right now, 45 actually. We have over 150 people here. We have 156. That number might climb a little bit over the next like 30 minutes. So if you guys want to see Michael drop some memberships in the chat, hit that like button. Only takes a moment, and it does help. It does help. I've been asking you guys to hit the like button and like the streams recently. I don't know if you've noticed, but we've been getting some new people in here. We've been getting some new people watching the streams, engaging with the chat, really appreciating the community, appreciating what we do here. And that's because of what I tell you guys all the time, whether it be on streams or videos, YouTube, it will push out all of this content based on the amount of likes it has. The more likes it gets, the more it'll push it out to new people. And it's a really easy way for you guys to help grow the community. If you like this community and you want to see it grow, you want to see it thrive, then just hit that like button. It definitely helps. So we'll push for 100 likes. I believe we can do it. I believe we can do it. What kind of fireworks? I don't know. I'm not really a fireworks person, digital dude. I mean, I used to go watch fireworks, but I don't know. I'm not like the person that's buying my own fireworks or lighting them or whatever. I know you are though. I know you do. You think Sony should leave the PS4 alone now? Well, yeah, we're going to talk about it's weird cuz like you see a couple of live service games being like, "Yeah, we're ending PS4 support." We're ending PS4 support, and then a couple weeks later you get another major live service game saying, "We're going to make a PS4 port. We're going to release it on PS4." And so it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Sony's probably looking at them like, I'm gonna backhand these dudes. Whiskey Gaming, what's up, man? My voice cracks there. Titus, what's going on, buddy? What's going on, boss? You're oh. How many times are you gonna make me do that? Titus, you're doing good. MBG new Astrobot controller was just put out on Twitter. Oh, hold on. A new Astro controller. Yeah, they teased that, didn't they? Let me see. Astrobot Joyful DualSense launches October 30th. Oh, so it's like so it's the variation of the Astrobot DualSense. We do have the Astrobot DualSense. My son loves it. That's the one he uses. I might have to get this. Yeah, so it says Astrobot returns with a new delightful twist. The limited edition Astrobot Joyful DualSense launches October 30th. Pre-order starts September 12th at 10 a.m. local time at PlayStation Direct and participating retailers, excuse me. Straight up going to have like an Astrobot DualSense collection. So pretty much the only difference, guys, is the eyes. With the regular Astrobot DualSense, just normal eyes, round eyes. With this one, kind of like squinted a little bit, like smiling. So, all right, pretty cool. Nothing major. It really seems like Sony's just targeting people who really want to collect the DualSenses. But I know that my son would love to have a second Astrobot DualSense controller. So, and they also announced, hold on, there was something else they put here. PlayStation. Okay, yeah, the official PlayStation Twitter, they say take full control of your audio experience on PC with Pulse Elite and Explorer. Introducing a PlayStation Link PC driver for Windows, rolling out gradually starting today. Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. Guys, yeah, so we have almost 190 people here. I'm going to encourage you guys, hit the like button. We're sitting at 65 likes. 65. Michael Wernath in the chat said if we hit 100 likes, we'll drop some memberships. So if you guys want to help the stream out and help some people get lucky, get some membership gifts, make sure you hit that like button. They're making a Call of Duty movie. Yeah, it's weird. I saw that. What's weird about it is I thought they announced that years ago, but now there's like a partnership, Call of Duty movie with Paramount, and apparently it's like really important to them. So it sounds like they're very serious about it. I don't know. Call of Duty movie could be kind of cool if they do it right. Because I mean, some of the campaigns in Call of Duty and some of the characters are very cool, at least earlier on. So it really depends on how they handle it. MBG id Software just said in the SIGGRAPH presentation that if Doom the Dark Ages didn't use ray tracing, all pre-baked lighting data would take 110 gigabytes alone, since levels are much more complex and it'll look worse. Damn. 110 gigabytes alone. That's crazy. The hell? Wasn't Michael Bay supposed to direct it? Probably. Michael Bay directing a Call of Duty movie? That sounds about right. That sounds about right. You know what I was wondering? Because I saw the Call of Duty movie news and I was thinking about how I got to watch Twisted Metal Season 2. I was also thinking to myself, like, whatever happened to that Ghost of Tsushima movie? Like, is that a thing that's still in the works? I wonder this because, well, honestly, like, it sounded like it would be awesome. But one of the reasons it sounded like it would be so awesome is because the director of John Wick was connected to it. Wait, hold on. MBG, your wife made a demand of you. What did she say? Put Fred's puppy on the screen. Hold on. I wonder. I got to see if it'll let me. Hold on. There's a cute dog. Fred wants me to show off. Well, actually, Mrs. MBG wants me to show off the puppy. Sorry, boss. Boss is like, man, we must see the pupper. Dude, they are making an Elden Ring movie. And what, Alex Garland is attached to it? Which is kind of crazy. Like they're going all in with an Elden Ring movie is going to be crazy, dude. Like I will definitely watch an Elden Ring movie. Let me see if it'll let me bring it up. Yeah, here we go. So this is it's a little big. Hold on. This is Fred's new puppy. What's his name again? Oh, yo, I just unlocked a badge on YouTube Music. It says you're officially a top listener of Soundgarden. I'm in the top 0.06%. That's pretty good, right? Cerberus. Nice, dude. Yeah, he's a very cute puppy. Very cute. He is very floofy. He's got that floof. How do you get to the community tab on PC? I'm computer illiterate. Michael, it's not you. You actually can't. You can only reach it on mobile. I just sent this picture over so I could bring it up on the. It's only available on mobile though. I don't know. I'm assuming at some point they'll fix that. But there you go. That's Cerberus. It's a cool name too. And we have Corey the Legend Landiga coming in, dropping another 5 membership gifts for you guys. We know why Corey does it.
I'm no hero. Never was. Never will be.
Corey has some help today, though. He has some help today because Corey's always dropping 5. And Fred dropped 5, so that brings us up to 10 already. Where's my... Oh, there we go. And guys, just a reminder, make sure you hit that like button. All right? Make sure you hit that like button because Michael Warren says he'll drop membership gifts. We could hit the goal depending on how many he wants to drop. We're at 75 likes. We are 3/4 of the way there. We have nearly 200 people here. We could easily hit 100. Don't let Michael down. Don't let Michael down like that, bro. Don't let me down like that. Come on, guys. For those wondering, he's a woolly Siberian Husky. Oh. What do you mean the PS4 is getting more support? Well, so it was discovered on the PlayStation backend. Marvel Rivals is coming to PS4. So we're seeing a current gen only title. It's a live service title, so it's a little bit more understandable. But we're seeing in September of 2025, we are 2 months away from being 5 years into this generation. A game is being backported to the PlayStation 4. And I don't think it's a problem, but I just think it goes to show like this is how much things have changed, man. Like you would never see this in any other console generation prior to this one. You would never see something like this. It's just not a thing. It's not a thing. But yeah, exactly. There's 120 million people on PS4. So, you know, the developers and the publisher of Marvel Rivals, is it Tencent that publishes it? I forget. I forget who the publisher of Marvel Rivals is. But they're looking at that and they're like, that's money. That's a lot of money. Let's just port it. We have Titus Crow with a super chat. And he says, fun fact, I can see the community on my crappy phone, but not on my iPad Pro 2. Grand worth of awesome. Yeah, my assumption, Titus, is the reason why the community tab is exclusive seemingly to phones is because it's new. Like they're still working on it. Because they announced the community tab like months ago and they were like, yeah, we're just going to be testing it in beta. And then they rolled it out and it's just like, all right. People have been asking me to make a Discord and I'm thinking about it. I was waiting for this community tab update to see if it would, because it like I read it like it was supposed to be like Discord built into YouTube. And it kind of is a little bit, but not really so much. What happened to the hype feature? I don't even know. Yeah, that they like rolled that out for is that still there? I'm not sure. People can pay to hype videos or whatever. Yeah, the community tab, it's Temu Discord, bro. Temu Discord. Apple and their special hardware, software. Corey in Snake Voice says, generations are everlasting. There's still a plethora of gamers, at least these days. That's how it seems. I'm no hero. I'm no PS5. I'm just a PS4, still getting backports of games in 2025. Yeah, I mean, look, man, it's weird because you see PUBG doing the opposite, where PUBG is like, yeah, we're ending support on PS4. And I think Genshin Impact is winding down, but you then see something like Marvel Rivals, which is a big game and has a lot of players. I think it still has a lot of players anyway. They're like, yeah, we're going to actually go support PS4. And I think it's just indicative of what we're going to see next generation. I think it's I don't think you're going to see Hideaki Nishino or Herman Hulst come out in 2027 saying we believe in generations. I think they're just going to say the PS6 is the greatest console ever made. The PS6 is going to revolutionize your gaming life. Trust us, bro. Trust us. I want to know what Sony's going to do with exclusives with the PlayStation 6. Because it seems like they are going to try to make it somewhat affordable. Like they're going to still try to target the mass market. But the real question is, because I've seen people say that, like, if there are exclusives, they'll upgrade. But I've also seen people say that if there's not, they're just going to, they'll walk away. So the hype feature's still there. You could do it up to 3 times a week. Well, and that's only for videos, right? Yeah, so I'm still kind of unfamiliar with this. I guess YouTube just rolled it out. Keep in mind, I guess if you watch any of my videos, you have 3 hypes you can use a week. And I think basically, if I understand correctly, what that does is it influences how it's pushed out in the algorithm or something. I'm not entirely, or there's like a whole separate section for like hype videos or something. I'm not sure. It's really weird. They rolled it out. It's a new feature, and I don't even know what it does. It's just there. So I'm just saying, if you want, use those hypes on my videos if you want. Like if there's a particular news video you're enjoying or something. There's a hype leaderboard. Okay. So weird. MBG can't spend much. He's saving for your Switch too. Well, I bought Mrs. MBG a game recently to play on PS5. It's a Hello Kitty game. You guys know what game I'm talking about? It's like it's basically like the Hello Kitty version of Animal Crossing. Apparently she's like addicted to it. She's really been enjoying it. And I had to get the physical copy. You want to know what gaming is? This is gaming. This is peak gaming. You want to know why I bought my PS5 Pro? This is why I bought my PS5 Pro. No, but I was watching her play. I'm like, okay. PlayStation exclusive. Actually, no. I think this launched on Switch first. It launched on Switch first because I think it's pretty much like an Animal Crossing clone. Is there a disc? There's no disc. I just bought this case. No, the disc is in the PlayStation in the living room. Okay. Trust me on this. Trust me on this, 0 Point. I promise. I wouldn't lie to you like that. I mean, I'm playing Doki Doki Literature Club on PS5 Pro. Boss, are you serious, dude? Is Metal Gear Boss Treat Eater. For real. Guys, we're at 86 likes. I'm once again asking you to take a moment and hit that like button. We're at 86. Now we're at 87. We need 13 more likes. And Michael Werniff will bless the chat with what I can only hope will be a plethora of member gifts. 88. 88. Playing Delta on your Pro? Yeah, I'm going to be playing a lot more Metal Gear Delta very soon. I have to decide when I'm going to do that Death Stranding 2 stream, the final stream to get the platinum. Maybe I don't know if I'll do it today for sure. I don't know. I'll do it this week for sure, but and Jake Skew comes in. Jake Skew says, well, while we wait to get to that 100 like mark, I'm going to bless the chat with a single gift. And then Corey the Legend Landiga comes in and drops another 10 on you guys. Corey's like, I got to do it for my treat eater, bro. I got to do it for my treat eater. And just like that, we are at 19 members on the day. No, sorry, more than that. 21. 21 members. And 94 likes. So it's looking good. It's looking good here. Boss is getting hype. I can feel he's purring like crazy. Corey, thank you so much for that, man. Let me see. Where's the...
But that was some fancy shooting. You're pretty good.
I got to get some more Metal Gear sound bites. Let me add that to the goal, though. Thank you guys so much for the support. And as I'm doing that, we have another legend, Hellbound. Hellbound 1981. He gets in on it. And he says, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Before Michael even has a chance, we're going to get to the 25. He drops 5 more membership gifts for you guys. And just like that, Boss can try his new treats. I'm curious to see how he likes them. It's just straight up salmon. It's freeze-dried salmon. Oh, hello, Luna. Luna's been conditioned as well. Now Luna's in here. We'll see how they like it. And Omen 86, another legend. The legends. They're all here. They're all rising. He drops another 5 member gifts for you guys. And just like that, somehow, some way, we are at 31 members. Omen, thank you so much for that, man. I'll give you, I know which one you want.
PlayStation has been defining the gaming industry for the past 3 decades.
Boom. Sony Omi. And let me go check on those likes and see where we're at. To be honest, though, if we did hit 100 likes, that's really good. Hitting 100 likes this soon into the stream is actually very good. We need a good God.
Good God.
We're at 98. 98 likes, 2 more. And boom, we did it. We did it. Boss, you ready? We hit 102 likes. I'm going to have to give credit to Michael for that one. And all of you guys. 101 likes. Good shit. Good shit, guys. And we didn't even get into the topics yet, really. Well, we did talk about Marvel Rivals coming to PS4. And Arc Raiders. All right, here we go. Oh, your claws, boss. Easy with your claws, dude. Let's see how he likes it. Freeze-dried, just salmon. They have a dog and a cat on there. You can give him the dogs or cats. So let's see. Okay. Well, they smell like, dude. Are you Are you serious? You just fell. Are you good? Up here, dude. And Michael Werneth comes in and drops a 50 bomb on you guys. Michael Werneth with the 50 bomb, bro. I was expecting like 10 or 20 or something. And he comes in with the 50.
Holy shit.
Come on, boss. Holy shit indeed. Michael, bro, thank you so much for that, man. He's helping the channel. He's like, let's get the likes up. When we get the likes up, I'll drop some member gifts. And he drops a 50 on you guys. Well, let me give Boss these treats. Here you go, man. So those are just like straight up chunks of fish. That's what that is. So he's looking like, I think he likes it. Boss, how is it, dude? Well, there you go. Luna, I'll give you some when he's done. And Omen86 with his infamous poop emoji. Thank you for that, Omen. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. That's incredible work. We basically just blew past 75 members. Thank you so much. And I want to take this moment to let everybody know, if you're in the chat right now or if you're watching the stream, if you got gifted a membership, you now have access to all the members' content, including the members lounge. We're going to be doing member streams. We may be bringing back Morning with the Misses. That's on the docket at some point this month. So make sure you're checking to see if you received that member gift or not. And if you enjoy the members content and you want to continue to support the channel afterwards, consider renewing your membership. We are completely fan funded. People like Michael, Omen, Hellbound, Corey, Jake Skew, Lost Isley coming in, dropping a member gift. It's people like this, Fred, dropping member gifts and, allowing us to do this here. So thank you guys so much. Yeah, we should be coming back with Morning with the Misses. The goal is to try to, I think we're trying to figure out if we're going to do it this week or next week, but there's a good chance we'll do it this week. I was thinking about setting up a weekly goal for it, and I was considering doing that today. I probably should have, but if I do, everything that you guys contributed today will go towards that goal. So, yeah, we're sitting at 82 memberships, by the way. I miscounted. So, good stuff, guys. Absolutely crushing it. I'll just put it up to 100 for now. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have an awesome community here, awesome people. Really curious to see if what we're going to talk about today, though, because we still do have to get into the topics. Thank you. You're saying my cat's adorable. I appreciate that. Really curious to see if this report that we're going to go over turns out to be true or not. I mean, what are we thinking about the Xbox Magnus being twice the price of the PS6? I mean, that's going to be crazy. And Omen86, he's not done. Omen's not done. Sony Omi. He drops another 5 membership gifts for you guys. Well, you know what, dude? You know what I'm about to do? I'm about to make a goal, because we are actually dude, we are close to 100. I'm about to set a goal today where if we hit it, I'll do my Death Stranding 2 Platinum stream right after this one. I mean, the hype is here today. Maybe today's the day. Is today the day? Throw some synthol in there. So we're at 87 now. Incredible. You guys are insane. Seriously. Thank you so much. Really. Amazing, amazing support. Can't wait for the positive spin on it. Well, I will say the one thing about this next Xbox being incredibly expensive is apparently it will have the power to back it up. So, one thing people will not be able to point at is saying it's not powerful enough. I think people will say maybe it's not worth it. But apparently it's going to have a massive APU, and it's going to be a beefy machine. Dude, Boss tore that up. Oh my God. He tore that shit up, dude. I think he likes those better than the other treats. We might have to keep buying these. I think this is much healthier, too. I'm about to stock up on these. I'm just going to give him fish. Luna's still waiting for hers. Yeah, he really likes it. I was curious if he was. I was thinking there was a chance he wouldn't eat it. But we have King Sam, a longtime member for 28 months. Thank you for that support, King Sam. He says, hey, MBG, I hope you and the family are doing well. We're doing well, man. I hope you and yours are doing good, too. You're saying the next Xbox being twice the price would be self-deletion, unless the PS6 is, super cheap. Yeah, that's the big thing I've been seeing. I was kind of gauging, some people's reactions to this, whether it be on my video or just what people were saying in response to the article. And generally speaking, it seems like people have this feeling of if this does turn out to be true and the next Xbox is somehow double the price of the PS6, no matter how powerful it is or how capable it is, yeah, it's not it's not going to even remotely be a mass market machine. And the whole thing here is it it's already felt like for a little while now, but I feel like now going into 2026 in the next couple months, it truly feels like Microsoft, they're kind of done in the in the console market. Like they're just like, yeah, whatever. We'll just put out another box. And I'm not going to lie, man, like I do see people on social media where it does kind of feel like they're trying to create, I don't want to say a false narrative, but I think they're trying to like make something out to be bigger or more significant than it is. Where I see people being like, yeah, I can't wait for, like, not to say that there's something wrong if you want to buy Xbox Magnus or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. But really trying to make it sound like this thing's going to be a big deal and like everybody's going to flock to it. And I'm like, I don't, hold your horses on that one, man. I'm unsure of how well Sony's going to do moving PS5 players over to PS6. I don't really think that mindset of they're going to, they're going to bring people over in mass to this Xbox Magnus. I don't think that's going to happen. And if the price is going to be, if it's going to be as expensive as everything we're hearing is saying it's going to be, it's certainly not going to happen. All right, let's see if Luna likes the treats. Boss, bro, you can't have more. You had a lot, dude. I just gave you a whole batch. Probably the entry is expensive, but in the long run, save a lot of money compared to PlayStation 6. Well, what do you mean by that, Venino? Well, I mean, because the assumption is if maybe you're talking about Game Pass potentially. My feeling with this is that I just think Microsoft is like, we want to make a good profit. And I'm sorry, I almost missed this. Overexposure with a super chat. Overexposure says it's Keanu's 61st birthday today. Happy birthday. He would absolutely rock as the main protagonist in Fizzin'. Damn, dude, he's getting up there a little bit. 61. Well, yeah, happy birthday, Keanu Reeves. Apparently, there is going to be a John Wick 5. We're going to have old John Wick, old Wick. I wouldn't be surprised if Kojima tried to get Keanu in Fizzant or in one of his projects. Kojima's made it clear that he's a pretty big fan of Keanu Reeves. I think he met him a couple times too, or they met. I think there was even pictures of like he visited Kojima Productions. So, dude, if Keanu Reeves starred in Fizzant, that would be sick. I'm thinking it might be Robert Pattinson though, who plays the main protagonist in Fizzant. Boss, oh, dude. Okay. I think we found Boss's new drugs, and it's salmon. He's like he was sitting here biting the bag, like, dude, Elden Wick. And we have Omen86 with a super chat. He says, imagine the PlayStation 6 is fully back compat with all previous generations. Insert all discs and play. The gen would be one before it even starts. Also, it will move old inventory at shops. So automatic Sony sales push. Well, it's interesting you talk about backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 6 Omen, because I remember going into the PS5 generation, there were many rumors going into it before it was officially revealed and Sony really laid it out. There were many rumors that talked about the idea of Sony having full backwards compatibility with every PlayStation generation. PS4 was a given, but PS3, 2, and 1, that's what people wanted to know. And what I can tell you is that this would be, if Sony could make this happen, to be clear, I'm not anticipating it. I think it's an unrealistic expectation. But if Sony were to achieve full backwards compatibility with the PS6, I think it would be the biggest win they ever get. I do, because it's just, it would be Sony basically saying like, this one's for the fans, And I think it would completely change everybody's view of the PS6. You know, and imagine Sony being able to market a console like that, where it's like it's just the all-in-one box. The big problem, though, well, there's a lot of problems with this. The biggest one, the two biggest problems are the PS3 and emulation, and like how Sony has seemingly not been able to figure that out. Or if everything we heard is true, they can figure it out, but it's going to be very expensive and very time consuming. And it seems like Sony, from what I understand, it seems like they kind of don't want to do that. Um, Maybe if there was more pressure on them from like competition, maybe they would. But the other problem is licensing, you know? Oh, you're saying internal hardware. Just put a PS3 in the PS6, bro. Just put it in there. I mean, yeah, they didn't they do that with the PS3? With the PS2 and 1? Right? Like with backwards compatibility. And then they stopped producing it that way because they're like, this is way too expensive and not enough people are using it. I don't think Leia's in here, but if she comes to the door, you can let her in. I'll give her some of these. But putting the problems aside, though, if we're just kind of fantasizing, right? Fantasizing about the idea of Sony going full, I mean, completely full backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 6. You can, if you are a collector and you have PS1 games, PS2 games, PS3 games, you could put the discs in and actually play them. I have no idea how they would make that happen, and it just sounds totally unrealistic to me. But if they achieve that, and they could sell you a PlayStation box, a PlayStation console, where they can say it's the one-stop shop, everything you buy this, you have everything, and that's the thing. Yeah, licensing is another. That was a big headache for Microsoft with the backwards compatibility stuff, and you could tell it was. And it was such a major process. Like they had to open like a whole team of people to like deal with the backwards compatibility stuff. Because you know the whole thing is if Sony wants to go in that direction with backwards compatibility, they want to do so to sell you games. You know, like they want to resell PS1, PS2, PS3. They're doing that now, right? They're already doing that, but it's such a slow and painful rollout because of the licensing and having to talk to publishers and figure out the rights to stuff. And I can understand from their perspective why it seems like such a headache. And like, you know, when you try to think about the return you would get for it, like if you're just like thinking from a business standpoint, bottom line standpoint. Yeah, yeah, that's true, Omen. You're saying licensing is only valid with emulation, not with old discs. It's already out there. Yeah, I mean, it would be so cool to see Sony do that because I do feel like doing something like that would be more of a goodwill gesture. Something that's like we want to, like we really want to speak to the fans and you know get the hype back in that regard. Um, but I don't know. My current expectation with the PlayStation 6 Omen honestly is I'm thinking PS4, 5, and 6. You know, like that half of the generation, and I think they'll continue to do classics. I think they could surprise us though and be like, actually, you know, we've been doing PS1 classics, we've been doing PS2 classics, we're gonna do PS3 classics now, and you will be able to play them natively. That would be a big deal. So I don't know that they'll ever do what you're saying. I mean, it if they did, like I said, it would be so shocking. It's just like that's not modern Sony. That's like early PS3 era Sony. But that's not. Yo, Hanzo, why are you saying lather it with beef drippings? What? Bro, we're talking about backwards compatibility. King Sam, you're saying they'd probably have to include the PS1 and 2 chips on the motherboard of the PS6 and also make it so the console can read CDs, but surely that wouldn't be too hard for Sony. Well, that's the thing is like Sony is a major corporation with an immense, like an unbelievable amount of resources. they could do that. Like they could, if they wanted to do it, they could. But they're very corporate, and they're very business oriented. And that's not to say it's just them. I mean, that's pretty much all these companies now. And you can see how that's changed over time, where if you go back to the earlier generations with Sony, even with Microsoft to a degree, and maybe even Nintendo, and well, I don't know about Nintendo, but just generally speaking, it feels like it's changed over time. And I just get this kind of sense that there would have to be somebody there at Sony that is like so passionate about something like this, but is in a leadership like Hideaki Nishino. Like Hideaki Nishino would have to be like as passionate as one of us here or some of you guys to be like, we're doing this. Like we're doing this. And a lot of people would advise him that, oh, it's not worth it. And, why would you want to spend all the money and resources on this? Or like, what's even the point? Only like 2% of people are going to use this. It would be something that would kind of have to be forced through. And we don't see that these days, unfortunately, with anything. Things have become like, I don't want to say sterile, but, it, the way businesses are run these days, seemingly, especially in tech and in entertainment, it's just like, it's very much like take the safest, most concise, just straight line path. Because yeah, Sony could do that, and it would be insane. Like, dude, people would like lose their minds. That would be reminiscent of, that would be like the PS6 generation's equivalent of here's how you share your games. It would be that moment, if they pulled something like that off. But I don't know, man. This is where I feel like, we're talking about the idea of the next generation Xbox Magnus PC console thing, whatever it's going to be. We're talking about it being potentially twice as expensive. And I think Sony looks at that and is like, well, we don't have to worry about that. We put PS1, PS2, PS3, shove it in the PS6. But that's another thing too, is like, when you're talking about it reading discs. I mean, I think we're all generally in agreement, I would think, that the PS6 is not going to ship with a disk drive, right? Like, I think you can. What I think is going to happen is the disk drive that is on the PS5 Slim model now, or the one that you can buy separately for the Pro. I think Sony's going to announce you can put that on the PS6. Or if you buy a PS6 and you didn't have a PS5, you can just buy the disk drive separately like you can right now for the Pro. I think that's what they're going to do. Unless they go crazy and they're like, we're just not doing discs at all, which, I mean, come on. We'll revolt. We'll go crazy. Sony can't do that. They're not going to do that. They're definitely, like, Sony's definitely not going to do that. They can't. They just can't. Like, if they have any intention of being in competition with Nintendo at all, right? I mean, even just where it's like we want to make sure we have an option that can take on the Switch. You're like, they have physical games. You have to have physical games. Although people have a problem with the whole, cartridge key thing and whatnot. Yeah, the game key cards. Yeah, we'll see what they do there. There's so many, dude. Is it just me? I just need to know. Is it just me, or is it absolutely insane how many unknowns there are going into this next generation for Sony? Yo, Gaming Survivor's got to hit the shower before he turns into mold incarnate. Yeah, sounds like a good idea, man. Chris, what's going on, man? I mean, I feel like there's never been a PlayStation console generation when approaching it. PS1 to PS2, PS2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. There's never been a generation where there's like every aspect of it is a giant question mark. The only thing that's not a giant question mark, actually, ironically enough, is the devices that Sony's putting out. That's the funniest thing about it. The one thing we actually do know, and also about Xbox, is we literally know here's the APU basically this is what's going to be inside the box. And yeah, like you can, from that, you can kind of infer roughly like what they're looking to achieve, performance wise, maybe figure out the price points to a degree. Kind of like what we're doing here with the Xbox. But outside of that, it's like everything else is literally just a giant question mark. Exclusives, cross-gen, you know, backwards compatibility with older PlayStation consoles and you know, games, just the entire messaging, the strategy, live service. I mean, there's just so many unknowns. And yeah, Whiskey, you're heading out, man. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your workday, bro. Thanks for stopping by. Even if they would build a more expensive, fully back compat Pro console, it would be a major W. Yeah, they could do something crazy if like that if they really wanted to, where it's like, let's create the ultimate PlayStation. And it'll basically be like Sony's equivalent, PlayStation equivalent to Xbox Magnus in the sense that it's like, here's a $1,200 PlayStation. It's like insanely, like just insanely powerful. And it'll basically like it could be like the PS6 Pro, but it's like, yeah, I don't know though. Adding back, I don't think you could add backwards compatibility. I don't think you could make that an exclusive for a mid-gen console. That would be nuts. That would be nuts. But I have to admit, I am surprised that I'm surprised that we're having so many conversations so soon about the next generation, about the PS6 and the Xbox PC hybrid, simply because it's still, you know, it's still quite a ways away. I mean, we do need to keep in mind that there have been rumors that this Xbox Magnus console may actually be targeting 2026. There have been rumors of that. And there's this kind of idea that Microsoft wants to get out ahead of the PS6, but that remains to be seen if those if there's any validity to those rumors or any truth to them. But assuming that both of these consoles are targeting holiday 2027, I mean, we have the rest of this year, all of next year, and then you would assume you wouldn't start hearing about these next-gen consoles until maybe like January, February, March of 2027 at the earliest. So we're still pretty far out. But I think there's this general, I think there's a fatigue where people do feel like, maybe it's too soon. But I think people are fascinated. I do. I think there's a genuine fascination with everybody seems to understand that things are different now. And because things are different, because the industry's different, we kind of want to see like, well, what does that mean for the rollout of new consoles? What does a console generation that is, you know, maybe not right around the corner, but certainly fast approaching, what does that mean? I mean, we just covered the, you know what? I want to read a comment. I just reminded myself. We just covered the PlayStation 6 handheld leak. Okay? We have basically Sony making a PlayStation version of a Switch, but a more powerful version. Like, this is unexpected, at least to me. Like, I didn't think that was going to be what Sony was going to do. But I want to read this comment. I was listening to the most recent episode of Sacred Symbols because they were covering this leak, obviously, talking about the PlayStation handheld. And there was this really interesting comment that somebody left that, of course, now I'm not going to be able to find it. Here we go. I wanted to read this comment to you guys because I think this person worded this very well. And, you know, there's been this whole conversation about the idea of a PlayStation 6 S, or maybe that's what the handheld will be because it's dockable. And so this is what this person, it's Top Gun Zero. They say there's a fundamental misunderstanding to where the console market stands and where it is going. The PS5 runs on RDNA 2, which is, AMD architecture. The PlayStation 6 handheld will run on RDNA 5. The PS5 might have more overall horsepower than the PlayStation 6 handheld, but the PlayStation 6 handheld will handle things like ray tracing significantly better, and it will have built-in machine learning hardware, likely an NPU. Now, just so we're all on the same page, NPU architecture. An NPU, a neural processing unit, is a specialized processor with an architecture designed to mimic the parallel processing of the human brain to accelerate artificial intelligence, or AI, and machine learning, ML, tasks with high efficiency and low latency. So just so we're all on the same page, that's what NPU stands for, and it is expected that this will be involved with the next-gen consoles. The comment continues, this will allow games to perform significantly better. Where the confusion comes in, most likely when it comes to the Xbox Series S, for lack of a better term, if you're releasing a PlayStation 6 portable that plays PS6 games, there is no reason to not utilize that SoC minus a screen, battery, etc. in a standalone SKU. It will be cheaper than the PS6 console, which will allow for greater adoption. So what this person is highlighting is what we've been talking about, because when I was listening to Sacred Symbols, it seems like maybe even, at least with what Colin was saying, like he was under the he was speaking as if he was under the assumption that Moore's Law is Dead did confirm there's an Xbox, or a PS6 Series S. But in reality, and I'm only pushing this because I just don't want people who are actually really paying attention in good faith to be confused. As of right now, there is no PlayStation 6 S model. That's not in the leaked documentation. There are 2 APUs. Only 2, not 3, 2. There's the home PlayStation 6, Project Orion, and there's Project Canis, which is the handheld APU. A lot of people, like Moore's Law is Dead, and what this person is saying, they're saying if games are already going to be able to run on this PlayStation 6 handheld, because it will be less powerful than the home PlayStation 6 console, it'll essentially be the same power factor as essentially a PS5, a base PS5, in terms of, we said, horsepower. The idea is, why wouldn't Sony just make a dedicated home console then with the same APU, and they could sell it for cheaper? Because it's like you're saying, you remove the battery, you remove the screen, you remove all this extra stuff that's going to, up the price of the handheld. Why wouldn't you do that? And I don't know if Sony will. I don't know. They could, maybe, but as of right now, it seems like that's not the plan. Right now, the plan, based on the leaked documentation and the leaked specifications of these APUs, or the descriptions of these APUs, is home console, handheld. There doesn't seem to be an in-between console. And I'm only emphasizing this because I don't want people to get their expectations out of whack, thinking that, so there might be a more affordable, like, in-between Series S, like PS6. As of right now, no. If you want the, because the assumption is that it would be more affordable, right? Like, that's the assumption. If Sony does a PS6 S, maybe they'll be able to sell it at like $400 or something, or $450, something like, or maybe even like $500. Maybe even like $500. If the home PS6 model's like $700 or $800, if that's what it's going to be, then maybe they have this Series S like PS6 that could be sold for $400. People, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of PlayStation fans that would question that and be like, whoa, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing a Series S thing here? But there would also be a large group of people that are like, yo, a more affordable PlayStation 6, sign me up. And I'm just trying to make it known to people that if you're expecting that, as of right now, that doesn't exist. So the only question you have to ask at that point is, well, does this mean the PlayStation 6 handheld will be cheaper than the home console. Not necessarily. Because even though the APU that's going to be in the PlayStation 6 handheld will be cheaper to produce because it's less powerful than the home PS6 console, again, that's going to be offset by you have a screen, you have a battery, you have all these other things that have to be tacked on to make the handheld a handheld, to give you the whole experience. And so it seems like realistically what you could maybe expect is the handheld will be $100 cheaper. But I don't think you're going to see some kind of like vast price difference where it's like here's a I guess you could say like a premium. I don't know if you want to call it premium, but like the regular PlayStation 6 home console is going to be $700. Here's the PS6 S that's going to be $450 or even $500. And then here's the handheld that's going to be $600. You're not, as of right now, it doesn't seem like we're going to see that. Sony could change their mind, but I want to finish off this comment because, again, I thought it was a good comment. This person continues by saying the PS5 might have sold over 80 million units, but if they had an entry-level system, maybe they would have sold 110 to 120 million units by now. There was nothing wrong with the idea of the Xbox Series S. The problem was the execution of the hardware design. And even then, only a handful of games have had issues, and that has largely stemmed from resources and focus. Baldur's Gate and Black Myth Wukong both ended up on the Series S eventually. You estimate the Series S selling about 15 million units, which is about half of the total Xbox Series console sales. The PS6 handheld and theoretical PS6 entry model will sell a combined 60 to 100 million units. It's not the same situation at all. The biggest problem for the Xbox Series S is that the PS5 is the machine to build your game around, not the Series S. All development will start with the PS6 handheld / PS6 entry level and scale up, and that's if it has sufficient memory. Or will have sufficient memory. That's not going to be a problem at all. And what's worth noting here is that it does seem like what basically was a thorn in the Series S side, the Series S's side, was the split memory. It was the split memory, and it seemed like everything else about the console, it's like, okay, this is fine. We can make this work. But in some cases, the split memory, I think, became a bit of a bottleneck and a problem for some developers in some games. The big thing, by the way, and this is so important to understand and highlight when we talk about this, the big thing about this PlayStation handheld is Moore's Law is dead said he does not know. The only unknown aspect of this console specification-wise is the RAM. We don't know how much memory it's going to have. And it does seem like that's going to be the biggest difference maker in terms of like really how easy it's going to be for devs to like scale their games up and down. And if this handheld could be, I don't want to say problematic, but like if the handheld does become the lowest common denominator, I mean realistically, like what's the difference in RAM between this handheld and the PS6 home console? I've seen, I don't know, man. I've been, apparently some people are speculating that it's gonna be like 32 gigabytes of RAM or some shit. It's gonna be a lot. Like there's gonna be a lot of RAM, in the PlayStation 6 handheld, and that's going to be done to ensure that all of the features that you would expect a PS6 game to have, like running AI or machine learning or anything like that, will be able to be achieved without running into problems. And I think what it really is hinting at is it's giving us an idea of what are the main features of next gen going to be? The main features of next gen are clearly going to be these things. It's not really going to be resolutions. And that's another thing we didn't factor in here. You have Sony about to come out with a PlayStation 6 handheld, and they're going to have PSSR, dude. Like, I don't know what version of PSSR Sony's going to have by the time this handheld comes out, but you're talking about next generation RDNA 5 technology. You're talking about AI and machine learning, and part of that also being their own well, I guess it is a proprietary upscaler, but they're working with AMD, but a major upscaler that's going to be able to greatly benefit the handheld. You put all these things together, I mean, you can begin to understand why Sony's doing something like this. It actually becomes kind of a no-brainer where it's like, why wouldn't we do this? You know? Like, why wouldn't we do this? We put out the PlayStation Portal. It did way better than we expected. And that's like a cheap $200, low risk, just throw it out there, see what people think about, see what they think about a handheld that streams games. And they were like, oh my God, dude, like we thought this thing was going to flop. Does this mean they want a real handheld? And you see what's happening with the Switch 2. You see the Steam Deck. You see that Sony has their own studios optimizing for the Steam Deck. Listen, I understand that when we talk about something like the PlayStation 6 S, you're going to see certain people be like, well, I guess Sony ponies and the PlayStation fanboys love the idea of a cheaper model console now. And I get that. Of course, that's going to come, that's going to come our way. But the reality is like, you could make the argument, truthfully, that Microsoft was ahead of the curve once again. The timing was off. I'm really starting to believe that when you look at the gains from RDNA 2 technology to RDNA 5, it's like, dude, if you guys just waited, this would have been the time. RAM is cheaper, like memory's cheaper. The gains that you're seeing with this RDNA 5 technology are unbelievable. It really does feel like it's one of these things where Microsoft was like, we see the future, we see what's like where we're headed, and they're like, let's just do it now. It's like, I don't know that people are going to take to it right now in the way that you think they are or that you want them to. And it's like, so were we supposed to wait like 7 or 8 years? It's like, maybe. We saw that literally with the Xbox One, by the way. We literally saw that with the Xbox One with some stuff where like half the stuff that they were pushing and people were like, are you shitting me? Are you kidding me right now, Microsoft? They're like, no, trust us. Like, this is where it's headed. And they're like, we don't care what you think, bro. And they're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, we're not headed nowhere. Meanwhile, dude, a decade later, dude, this is why I'm saying, like, there are Xbox executives that, like, Don Matrick has to be punching air to a degree, because it's just like, it goes to show that timing is everything. You can see the future. You can know exactly where things are headed, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the future is now, right? It doesn't mean that people are just going to be on board with it now. And I'm saying all this to say that I think what we're going to see next generation is you're not going to see people being like, oh no, like this game is going to be held back by this or by that. Like if Xbox Magnus comes out, I have a report here. It confirms that, and it comes from Kepler L2, by the way. Comes from Kepler L2. It confirms that the Magnus APU, which is the next generation Xbox APU, is going to be used to power a family of devices, like many different devices. We know that Microsoft is going to let other companies license the Xbox brand and make their own Xbox. And so what you're going to see is probably $1,000 Xbox Magnus console that comes from Microsoft. It comes from Microsoft, and it's like, this is the flagship console that's built by Microsoft. And then you're going to have all these other SKUs. You're going to have all these other Xboxes. One that's, going to be like 10 times less powerful. You're going to have another that's probably going to be $3,000. That's going to be even like way more powerful than what Microsoft is producing, and everything in between. And so I think when you look at that, and then when you also look that even Sony is now getting a little bit more comfortable with the idea of maybe maybe scalability truly has gotten to a point where yeah, we can do this and it will not be a problem. You consider all these factors and it's like, yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be worried about scalability necessarily. In fact, if you look at what's going on right now, I think what people are worried about are game engines. I think people are worried about game engines like Unreal Engine 5 and what the F is going on there. I think people are worried about, development timelines and pipelines and like, okay, so like how long is this game going to take to make? I think people are worried about, even to a degree, some of these upscalers and like frame gen and stuff where it's like, sometimes it feels like the people like this is just a way for developers to, skip optimization, like whatever happened to just doing things, the old fashioned way, just optimizing the old fashioned way and not relying on these pieces of technology, this new frame gen technology to just make it up for you, whatever happened to coding to the metal, you know what I mean? I think that the concerns that people are going to have going into next generation are frankly concerns we're seeing right now, but potentially amplified. And fundamentally, I think what I'm really trying to say here is that the problems that will present themselves this upcoming generation with the PS6 and the Xbox Magnus, and even maybe, I get it, the Switch 2 is hard to really count in this because it's like the Switch 2 is, it's finally doing what like the PS4 and shit we're doing, and to a degree the PS5, right? It's like, okay, so it's like catching up. The problems that I think are going to present themselves next generation are going to just frankly be very different problems compared to the problems that were beginning to present themselves at the beginning of this generation. There were people, to be clear, at the beginning of this current generation who were warning of this. And it's hard to say like how many people were warning of it, how many people were dead on and on the money, completely correct. But there's no denying that there were some people out here like saying like, guys, this generation's not really going to go the way you think. Like, we are going to hit certain walls, and some road bumps are going to be unexpected. Like, for example, nobody could have predicted the economics around it all. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that everybody was kind of guessing. And like some people turned out to be right, others not so much. But it's going to be fascinating. It's not all going to be problematic, by the way. There's going to be a lot of good stuff. To be clear, there's going to be a lot of good stuff next gen. There's going to be a lot of, I think, just as I said, the problems that you're seeing right now, they may be amplified. I think the good things we're seeing right now may also be amplified. We're like, think about right now, like literally this month, what's the biggest problem that everybody's running into? What is the biggest problem that every gamer is running into right now, going into September, October, November? I think you guys know. I think most of you know, and I think most of you are experiencing this problem right now. It's a good problem. It's a good thing. Diego says, live service games. Well, maybe for some people. The biggest problem they're running into, you're saying optimization? Perhaps. Well, I guess I worded it wrong. There you go. Lost Isley, Mr. B. Too many games. Too many games. Quite literally, too many games. Yeah, too many games, too little time. I think that's going to continue to be a good problem. Hellbound's like, no 4K 240 hertz, bro. Let me tell you my problem. Too many awesome games. That's the thing. It's so ironic to me that I see so many complaints, and I'm not saying they're not valid. I'm just saying I see an ocean of complaints, more than ever. Everybody's upset about this. Everybody's upset about that. Problems here, problems there, problems everywhere in gaming and beyond gaming as well. And yet when I sit back and I'm like, well, let me get back to like the the core, the center of why I'm even here in the first place, which is to play video games, right? Like that's what it is. Doesn't matter whether it's PlayStation, PC, it doesn't matter, just to play video games. Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm not saying every game that comes out is perfect. I'm not saying every game that comes out is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. And I'm not saying that every game that comes out doesn't have a set of its own unique problems. That's all true. All those things are true. But at the same time, it's like, I've seen so many people tell me in the last week and a half or so, or 2 weeks, I was going to get Metal Gear Delta, but I'm going to wait now because I'm actually going to buy something else. Because there's like 3 other games I was contemplating buying. And I think, Konami loses a sale temporarily anyway, up front. But that's the beauty of it, is it's like, you can be up, you can acknowledge the problem of like poor optimization, Unreal Engine 5, and like, man, this shit needs some work. And the solution is like right there where it's like, but anyway, I'm going to buy this game instead. Now, again, there's winners and there's losers. I mean, we look at like Lost Soul aside, and that game seems to be really struggling. And I think, I think a lot of people are walking away from that, but it's just the fact of the matter is like, as these problems exist and in some cases proliferate, it does seem like it is kind of offset, where it's like there is the silver lining. And the silver lining is, well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like when I'm playing games on my PS5 Pro, I'm like, this shit looks amazing. This shit looks amazing. Like, are there certain aspects of it that if I really get down to it and like super analyze it, where it's like, well, there's some flaws here and some imperfections here, and if we're doing comparisons, maybe it's not 1-to-1 or it's not as, yeah, of course. But it's like, just generally speaking in my day-to-day, it's like games look better than they ever have for me. And in a lot of cases, games are running better than they ever have. I grew up playing games at 30 frames per second, mostly. During the Xbox One and PS4 generation, I had more games running at 60, but most games still running at 30. Now everything runs at 60. And it looks even better than it did previously. And on top of that, there's more games to play. More now, more coming. And like, I'm not trying to avoid, like, yes, I'm paying for this stuff too. To be clear, it's like, yeah, well, we're paying for it. So there's an expectation. There's absolutely an expectation. But I just think sometimes it's like, it's worth when you are entrenched in acknowledging the potential problems with engines, with next-gen architectures and hitting ceilings and all these things, man, and game devs and optimization, that goes on and on and on. Maybe sometimes it's good to also just check the other side too. You know what I mean? Like to check the other side too and realize that, well, there's some good too. There's some good as well. And that's all I'm really trying to advocate for is if we're going to look at the bad, we have to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good. And I hope that as we continue to get more information about these next gen consoles, as we continue to get more games that are coming out, right, that are going to have, again, their own unique set of problems, that we do that. That was a pretty big, I don't know, it was a pretty big monologue there. Silver lining to the consumer, yes, but if it impacts sales, it could be problematic in the long run, for sure. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, when having these conversations, you have to go, like, if you're going to have conversations about it like we are, you have to consider all permutations. You have to consider all variables, or at least as many as you can, right? Because, yeah, it can be easy when you're not conversing and when you're not super engaged to I'm just going to sit back, turn on my console, play my game, and that's it. And when I'm done, I'm walking away. For most people, that's all it is. And that's all it will ever be. That's all it needs to be. But for people like me and people like you, I don't speak for everybody here, but I'm more deeply interested. So I do try to consider all the factors. I do try to consider what could the potential shortcomings of Sony doing a PlayStation handheld that's going to launch alongside the PS6. What are some of the potential shortcomings? And there could be some. Absolutely. But what about the flip side of that? What are the potential pros? And I'll tell you right now, man, just the idea of a proper native PlayStation handheld is exciting. It is exciting. I don't know how, I don't know the ins and outs of the strategy and the messaging and how Sony's going to handle it. But just that idea alone is exciting, to see Sony return to that. Fred, you're saying you think Hell is Us will hold you over until Chronos and then Chronos to Yote. I've been hearing that sorry. Yeah, I've been hearing that Hell is Us is actually pretty good. The only thing, Hell is Us was interesting to me, and it still is interesting, but the thing that really turned me off to that game is hearing about how apparently, like, it doesn't tell you what to do, like, at all. Like, it doesn't tell you where to go, doesn't tell you how to get things done. It's just like you have to figure out the entire game yourself, and that stresses me the hell out. Just the thought of that stresses me out. I struggled with that a lot in Elden Ring, like a lot. Off topic, just platinum Death Stranding 2. Did you just platinumed it? Team Ayaz, I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly. Congratulations, dude. Yeah, I know the struggle. That's a big one. One pro is there's certainly a large player base on PlayStation, which will buy both the console and the handheld, double sales. Well, that's the thing. I think Sony's also just trying to maybe offer, like you're saying, like their fan base and the consumer something that they may want, which is like, do you want a proper handheld? The reason why I think the handheld from Sony is actually, I'll be honest, I think it's kind of a genius idea, considering it's going to be using RDNA 5 technology. I think it's kind of a genius idea because it's like, if you can release a PlayStation 6, but again, it's not like a promise or a hope, but it's like devs are going to be able to really take advantage of this thing. Because it's like, well, what's the limiting factor? The limiting factor is no longer like compute units. The limiting factor isn't teraflops or any of that. Maybe you could say right now a limiting factor could be the CPU, but it will have a next generation CPU. The limiting factor at this point is going to be developers are going to need to take advantage of AI features and machine learning, and I don't know that I would call this a limiting factor, but there's ray tracing as well. But the reason why I'm calling those the limiting factors is because it's like, well, what would be the biggest problem? What would be the biggest problem if we had a piece of hardware that's, it has less compute units? Not resolution, not frame rate, AI. And the way in which it's going to be implemented, machine learning, the way in which it's going to be implemented into these games. And so a potential problem and it's going to be so interesting. This is why I'm dying to know how Sony's going to solve this is like, and well, they're working on it now. They're already, Mark Cerny's, he's on the case, right? It's like, well, let's just make sure that when we produce this handheld, when we create the APU for it, that won't be a problem. That won't be a limiting factor. Battery life could definitely be a limiting factor. I think people are expecting a low battery life, though, on any premium handheld, honestly, or lower battery life. And I just think that the reason why it comes off as kind of genius to me is because Sony is going to be, I think, really hitting every point with this PlayStation 6 handheld. Because think about it. Portable. If you are just somebody who wants a portable, relatively premium, but affordable console, we can give you that. If you're somebody who wants to be able to dock your console, like you do the Switch, you can do that too. And it'll give you, well, let's face it, this PlayStation Portable, this PlayStation handheld, according to the leaked documents, will outperform the Switch 2 pretty comfortably, docked, and maybe even undocked. That is fascinating because Moore's Law is Dead speculates based off of how much it costs to manufacture parts and buy them in bulk and all that stuff. He speculates that this handheld's not going to be crazy priced. He speculates that this handheld is going to be priced aggressively to try to match Nintendo Switch 2. So Sony's basically saying we're going to offer a hybrid experience that will be comparable to the Switch 2, but basically better, minus the exclusives, of course. Like, you know, that's no matter what Sony does, people are going to buy the Switch 2 because of exclusives, right? But you remember when I told you guys, I said, do you think Sony is worried at all about the Switch 2 being a threat to their third-party dominance? Because we know Sony gets big numbers, but we know that a lot of those big numbers are driven by third-party sales. Call of Duty, you know, people make fun of PlayStation sometimes because it's like it's a Call of Duty, Madden, Fortnite box, whatever. But that's true, right? Like, and third-party games in general, new third-party games that come out. I was asking you guys, like, does Sony feel worried at all? Or like it could potentially be a threat, you know, with the Switch 2 being able to do like PS4 Pro levels of performance where it's like suddenly the Switch 2 is going to be getting every third-party game. Maybe even games like GTA 6. I mean, I don't know if it'll go that far, but you know what I'm saying, right? And Sony might have to worry about that because it's like, well, they have the Nintendo exclusives. They have, you know, they have the install base. If they get all those third-party games, like basically, is Sony worried that Nintendo could actually convince the masses where you're going to want to make the Switch 2 your go-to console for third-party games? And I think that's why this handheld exists. I'll be completely honest. I think the reason why this handheld is going to be dockable and why it's going to basically come off as like Sony's answer to the Switch 2 is because Sony wants to make sure they have something to prevent that. So it's like, okay, we can't offer you Mario or anything or exclusives. So if you want to buy the Switch 2 for exclusives, that's great. But you're definitely not going to want to make the Switch 2 your go-to for third-party games because we actually have a solution to that. We have an offering. It's a PlayStation 6 handheld, and it will run games better than the Switch 2 in dock mode. And it'll be about the same price. Maybe just, you know, maybe a little bit more expensive. A little bit more expensive. I don't know. I just feel like Sony was like, let's just put that there because it's kind of like what you said too, Omen. It's like, even if that's not a threat and that's actually a very small group of people you're trying to appeal to, you're going to get all the hardcore PlayStation fans, all the people who bought the PSP or a lot of people who bought the PSP and the Vita and want to see that come back. But I think it's just, it does concern me a little bit though, because for me, I'm thinking more about the home PlayStation 6 console. You know, I'm thinking more about that. I'm thinking more about like, you know, just the traditional experience, which is what I, you know, MBG, the PS6 will be held back by the Switch 2 and PS5. Well, Tarnished, thank you. Like, see, you put it so simply and concisely where it's like, when I said earlier, I was like, I don't think people are going to go into the next generation being mad about or upset about the idea of anything being held back because I think it's going to be impossible to do so. I think this generation was an awkward transition. I do. I think both Sony and Microsoft, and especially Sony to a degree, were kind of guilty of like, we need to just kind of treat this like a regular generation. They know things are changing. They know things are happening. And people really in the know at that time were like, yeah, things are changing. But they're like, yeah, but it's too soon. We need to just treat it like a regular generation. I think, again, that's where Microsoft kind of got hung up. We're like, well, we actually have a twist here with the Series S. But generally speaking, it's like, yeah, it's a regular generation. We're moving on. I just feel like, Tarnished, you're not the only, like, what you just said, everybody knows that to a degree or feels that. If you don't know it, you feel it. And because you feel it, that does mean you know it, right? Where it's like the person who says, why are we talking about the PlayStation 6 though? I just bought a PS5 or I've only had it for a couple of years and it feels like it's hasn't even really gotten started, or, the PS5 Pro is great. How much better can it really get? That person already knows it. Like, they know that. And yeah, like, this is because that's the thing. Like, what you're saying is true to a degree. It's true because it just is, man. It's the way it went, where it's like, yeah, this was an awkward generation. It was a weird generation. And I liked it. I still am enjoying the hell out of it, but there's just no denying that people feel like, it feels like, rather than being past the halfway point, it feels like we're like less than like two-fourths. We're less than halfway through the generation. I was going to say 2/4 for some reason. We're less than like 50% there. We're like at like 45% or 50% at most. And that's what's crazy, is like, yes, that is true that people feel that way. That is absolutely true. And yet it's not going to change the fact that we got a PS6 coming in 2027. And I just think that we are at this point, man. You think they will split the console ecosystem, like one copy for the main console will work on the handheld? Yes, I think that's what they're going to do, Vinino. In fact, that's something I feel 100% certain about. You are not going to see a Vita / PSP situation where it's like, we made like Sony Bend made another Uncharted game exclusively for the PlayStation handheld. Like, no. I think it'll be the other way around this time. Vinino, I think what'll happen is you may see devs say that we didn't patch our game. Like, our game is not, how games are not Steam Deck verified or certified or whatever? I think it'll be that. It's like, this game is not PlayStation handheld certified. So your option is you can try running it and it'll probably play like absolute shit, or it just won't even work at all. Or you can stream it. And I think that's what you're going to see more than anything. I really do. Because it's like, it's almost like Sony had it backwards last time. You know what I mean? You can understand why they did it the way they did, but they realized with the Vita, like, we can't do this. Like, we literally don't have the resources to have Naughty Dog make 2 games, one for the Vita, one for the PS4. And it's too complex and complicated and resource hungry. I think we are at that point where, this is why I'm saying, I think Sony's banking. I think Sony's banking on the exact same thing that Microsoft was banking on, but the difference is Sony has the advantage now of, we are 7, 8, 9 years removed from that, like almost a decade realistically. And the technological enhancements and improvements that have been made from an architectural level are like, now we're here. Like, you wanted to be, like, Microsoft wanted to be there in 2019 and 2020. We weren't quite there yet. Now 2026, maybe not 6, but 27, 28, 29, now we're arriving. And that's what I'm talking about. Sony is going to be banking on the same thing, which is, I put out this tweet like a week ago or something where I'm like, Sony's not going to have to mandate anything. They're not. Like, that's the thing. You had to, when Microsoft rolled out the Series S, it was clear that, like, in order to get a game published on Xbox, you need to make 2 versions of your game. Period. You need, and they have to have parity. I don't have inside sources. I don't have documentation. I don't have Mark Cerny's phone number, and I talk to him sometimes. I don't have, Zoom calls with Hiroki Totoki or Hideaki Nishino or Herman Hulse. I don't. But I'm telling you, like, Sony is going to bank on, we are not mandating anything because we won't need to. Because there will be basically a mutual agreement upon or across the entire games industry where when a developer says, I'm going to make a PlayStation game, you're going to be targeting the PS5 first. Even when the PS6 is out. I know that sounds upsetting to some people, but it's like, yeah, you're going to target the PS5. But actually, you're also targeting the PS6 because let me walk that back. Let me walk that back. All right. Maybe because of the introduction of AI, like, because I mentioned this earlier, maybe because of the introduction of AI and machine learning and how it's going to be used. We don't know how it's going to be used in games yet. That's another unknown. My brain gets racked sometimes when I try to talk about this because it's like, in case it's not obvious to everybody, the entire industry doesn't really know where it's going. I mean, like, truly. Like, there are very intelligent people like Mark Cerny and many others where they're trying to forge a path forward, and everybody's kind of like in this space where it's like somebody's gonna get it. And I think right now Sony is kind of banking on what everybody else is, which is AI, right? It's not a buzzword, but it's like AI, machine learning. This is the path forward, and it probably is. Like, it's a good bet. Like, I remember back in like 2012, 13, 14, there was this whole idea of like VR is the way forward, and it's like, maybe you look at where we are now, it's like nothing against VR, but it's like clearly that was not the thing. Like, that was not the revolution. It was a supplementation. Everybody's waiting for that next revolution. And it seems like Sony is kind of in this space where they're not going to be the ones to try to revolutionize anything, but they want to be in position where if perhaps AI and machine learning, and same thing with Microsoft, absolutely Microsoft spent what, like 140 billion or something. They want to position themselves to make sure that if that is the next revolution, we want to be there. Sony did that with VR. Literally, they did that exact thing with VR. And it didn't really pan out the way they thought. This time around, though, I think Sony is basically, they're taking the half in, half out approach. Maybe that's a better way to describe it. The half in is the fact that they're doing a next generation. The fact that they have Mark Cerny on it. The fact that they are, they're embracing AMD with Project Amethyst and, really trying to, even with Mark Cerny's work, he's saying it's not proprietary. Like, that's how the industry is hitting a bit of a wall, dude. That's how they're in between a rock and a hard place where it's like, how do we maneuver now? The fact that you have Sony allowing Mark Cerny to collab with AMD and be like, we don't care about anything proprietary. We just need a path forward. Like, and now even Microsoft is involved where they're like, well, we're working with AMD too, and we kind of have to try to figure out our path. Everybody's trying to figure out the path forward. And in the meantime, it means you have to be a bit reserved and you have to play it safe. And so the half in is Sony doing things like Project Amethyst, doing the PlayStation 6, embracing RDNA 5 technology, trying to make sure that they're going to have AI and machine learning in the PS6. The half out is the PlayStation handheld and the fact that it will be dockable and it'll essentially be, like the power factor, it'll have the same horsepower as a PS5. The half out is the acceptance that we want to move forward, but I don't think we're going to be able to move forward that far because everybody's going to love their PS5 still in 2028, 2029, 2030 and beyond. And it's not, when we say everybody, we're not just talking about players, we're talking about developers. Again, Marvel Rivals being backported to the PS4, Call of Duty Black Ops 7 releasing on PS4, literally 5 years almost to the day the PS5 was released. Sony's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And they have to be, because there's a real chance that there's like a lull period. There was an artificial lull period created by the pandemic for the PS5, but it was mitigated by, I would say, superb marketing and also good games. Like, let's face it, people were hyped for Demon Souls. People were hyped for Ratchet and Returnal. People were hyped for Ragnarok. People were hyped for Gran Turismo and Horizon. So it's not like, people didn't. I don't want to say people were like tricked. That's crazy. That nobody was tricked. But it's just, the pandemic clearly caused some kind of weird ripple effect across game development and progress. And then that pandemic ended up having some kind of crazy ripple effect to the economy. And all of that, all these things are interconnected. One thing could be the catalyst for the other, where now we're seeing these companies make great strides in progress, but the question then becomes like, well, are people going to be able to afford this shit? If we want to do an actual next gen leap, are people literally going to be able to afford it? It's like, well, maybe take a different approach. Like Microsoft, it's like, we don't care if they can afford it. We're just going to do it. It's like, well, what does that mean for your sales? That means sales might tank. And it's like, if it dies, it dies, like it's already dead, basically. Like we're not in it for the sales. We're in it for, we're attacking it from like 10 different angles. And the box we're going to make is just one. Sony's taking that on as well, but it's just so interesting, man. Like, it truly is fascinating to see. And maybe I wasn't paying as close attention to the previous console generations, but I'm telling you, I just don't recall the things that we're seeing now, the things that we're hearing about now. I don't recall anything. I mean, for God's sake, man, it's like what somebody said in my stream yesterday. They were like, bro, the banner on PlayStation social media is Gears of War, and the banner on Xbox's social media is Helldivers. That's the writing literally on the wall, like telling you, like, if you're not convinced things are gonna be different this time, here you go. And I'm sorry, Daniel Marza or Miraz. I'm sorry, I totally missed your super chat here. I apologize for that, buddy. I was so lost in what I was saying. You're saying they would make Switch 2 Pro to fight the PS6 handheld. They could. And I think you're right. I think you actually are right about that. And that's going to be another interesting angle where it's like, I don't think Nintendo views PlayStation as competition necessarily. And I think Sony's done a very good job making it clear that, like, we're not really worried about you either, Nintendo. We're just both doing our own thing, right? But when Sony announces something like this PlayStation 6 handheld, depending on how they market it, like, let's face it, man, if Sony wants to, they could literally go for, they could go for Nintendo's throat here, bro, where they're like, this is a PlayStation Switch. Like, if you're okay with just using the Switch as your exclusive, like, this is the device for your Switch, your Nintendo exclusives, we have a device for you that will do everything that does but better, and you can do everything else on it. This is where you can play everything else. And Sony games. I think, like, Nintendo might look at that and be like, what the fuck? Like, you serious? Like, I think at that point, yeah, Nintendo might be like, okay, we got to make a Pro, like, Switch 2. We like have no, like, we just have to do that now to protect ourselves, to protect our interest in, trying to make the Switch 2 sell as many units as the Switch 1. And you could see a little bit of a micro arms race. I say micro, it wouldn't be micro, but, you could see the arms race between the hardware actually, and it would be so funny because it would be regressive in a sense. Like Sony's going to go backwards to fight the battle now. It's like, our battle isn't with the Series S, bro. Like, Microsoft, again, too soon with that. Our battle's actually with the Nintendo Switch 2. It's like, bro, that's a console. That's a handheld that's hardware that, is just a little bit more powerful than the PS4 Pro. Why are you worried about that? And it's like, well, that's the thing. It's not Sony's decision necessarily. Well, it is, but what drives their decision? The market. The market is saying like, yeah, we're okay with like what the Switch 2 is doing is good enough. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of people who have a problem with a lot of what the Switch 2 is doing, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. The Sparky Nuts, you're saying MBG. So, are you anticipating the smallest gen on gen leap in technology for this generation? That's very difficult for me to answer. I mean, to be honest, when I say that question marks are everywhere, I am applying that to games next gen as well. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I think we went into the PS5 generation expecting that next gen leap. And I remember, like, in 2019, 2020, 2021, we're like, wait until you see what they're going to do, bro. And I think there was too much hype. I think I and millions of others overhyped it, not because, not for any other reason than I think we believed it. We really did. Like, it's like, listen, man, this is very exciting, but it's not going to be what you think it is. It's not going to be all that. You know what I mean? And I think that realization kind of came in the fact that, like, yeah, you play a game like Horizon Forbidden West on your PS5, and you're like, this is fucking incredible. Like, look at this game. This is insane. And then you see that it can also be played on the PS4, and it doesn't look as good or run as good, but it's still the same game, like at a base level. And so that experience, the defining difference between that experience on the PS5 and the PS4 is not what people would necessarily identify as a next gen leap. Rather a noticeable leap. I think that's, you can notice the difference. You can see the difference resolution wise between Horizon Forbidden West on the PS4 Pro versus the PS5, especially the base PS4 and the PS5. You can see that. And frame rate. Frame rate's the biggest thing. Some games are going to be capped at 30 on the PS4, but can make it up to 60 on the PS5. That's huge. Stuff like that. But, if we're already there, then when it comes to trying to identify, well, then what's going to win people over with PS6 games? I don't know. I mean, ray tracing all over the place. Lighting could do it. Lighting is a major factor. If PS6 games can give you lighting on a level that's like, holy shit, this is a quite literally night and day difference lighting wise between Horizon 3 on PS6 versus Horizon 3 on PS5 or PS5 Pro, and it's due to the ray tracing. I don't think that's going to make people go out in droves necessarily, but it's okay. Add that to the list. You know what I mean? Like, add that to the list. What will the DualSense 2 do? Right? What's that? What is AI going to do for PS6 games that won't be possible for PS5 games? I feel like I don't know. And we have Omen86 coming in again. He says we are not done with the member train. Omen86 wants to get us to 100 today. Can we do it? Can we do it? I think we can. He drops another single membership gift.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that brings us to 88. So we're 12 away. We'll see if we can do it today, guys. I have a good feeling. I have a good feeling. Thank you, Omen. I appreciate all the support, bro. Haptic jiggle physics. Smell-o-vision. Oh, Omen, I was talking about that, and I'm like, dude, it's going to be crazy if they don't. I'm not banking on them doing a PSVR 2 version for Resident Evil Requiem, but man, that would make me break out PSVR 2 again. I would at least try. Because the last game I played was RE4 for PSVR 2, and it's like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like, it's actually crazy. But it's just a shame. It gives me headaches. And we have Daniel again with the $2 super chat, and he says Game Boy, PSP, Wii, PS Move, Switch 2, PS6 handheld. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess there always was a little bit more competition. I feel like the competition between Sony and Nintendo was like always there, but it's just like kind of low key. You know, like they're not. It seems like they're not directly going after one another, but they're like the same time. Like if you look at what they're doing, it's like, oh no, they're actually like really trying to go after each other. You know, just quietly. It's like that scene in John Wick 2, I think, when they're walking through the subway station. They're the Sean's pistols, and they're like, you know what I'm talking about? They're shooting back and forth at each other, but hoping nobody notices. It's basically Sony and Nintendo. And we have Paul Gannell coming in. Paul Gannell says we need to keep this train going, boys. I'm dropping another single on you guys, and he brings us to 89 members. That's crazy, dude. 89 members on the day. Now, 1 away from 90, 11 away from 100. So, Paul, thank you, bro. Thank you for the member gift. Smell-o-vision. Jeez, man, gross out gamers. Just bought Shinobi. I've been hearing good things about it. Good things, indeed. God, man, I don't know. Like, let me ask you guys. I'm gonna bounce this one off the chat. What do we think? Things like AI and machine learning, and you know, these like NPU. An NPU being in, if I'm even saying that correctly, like what is that going to do for games? And as I'm asking that question, we have Omen86 coming in. He says, I'm going to drop another one for you, MBG. Another single GIF dropped by, I said GIF. Another single gift dropped by Omen86 to get us to 90. And then Lost Isley. Sorry, Lost Isley. It looks like Omen beat you to it. But still, it contributes and it gets us to 91. The train keeps rolling. The train keeps rolling all night long. And yeah, Aerosmith fans. Not the biggest Aerosmith fan, but I grew up listening to them. Always liked them. So thank you for that, Omen and Lost Isley. So now we're 9 away. I'm feeling it, man. I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to hit 100 today. I think it's going to happen. Have you heard NVIDIA wants to attempt neural rendering where 9 out of 10 frames are fake frames? There's a lot of potential still to be had with AI and ML for sure. I have not heard of that, but that's nuts. I'm not surprised that they're at the forefront of it, though. You feel as though we plateaued in what we can reasonably do with video games before we fully enter the VR world. Interesting. I've thought about that, too. Like, VR very well could be. It's like, no, that is the revolution, but it's just not. It's too soon. Again, it's too soon. This is a gaming channel. This is a gaming channel. In fact, 0 Point says this is the best gaming channel, buddy. You've just entered the domain of the best gaming channel on YouTube. What do I think of the increasing censorship and control over digital media, particularly video games in the UK, and the potential for this to spread globally? I think it's concerning. I think it's very concerning. It's not something I've been paying that much attention to, honestly, but from what I've come across, it's like, dude, I'm going to have to do more research on it and do my due diligence, because it seems like, yeah, this is something that's rapidly, like, it's all happening like very fast. And it's almost like I'm so fixated on everything else that's going on that I'm like, wait a second, what's going on over here? It is concerning, though. It does seem like there's something kind of weird going on, more broadly speaking, because it's not just isolated to one area or one group or one particular thing. It's almost like it's, Yeah, it's some, I don't want to get like conspiratorial, but it seems like it's coming from like a bigger place where it's like, what is this? An Omen 86 with a super sticker of the black cat. Dude, that super sticker is curse looking though, dude. That's a weird looking super sticker. Wes says, it ain't coming to the US. Spits, dip, and cock shotgun. Get off my internet. Luna seems like she didn't like the salmon as much, actually. Break out your blue box conspiracies. Will we ever see Hassan again? Bro, doesn't he just like play his PS5 and people still have him on his on their friends list? Right? Right? 1984 is coming. It might be. I'll be honest, man, the future looks kind of dystopian. Did you guys see what's going on with these data centers? Like, I'm not trying to, I don't want to derail this too much, and I'm not trying to be like the doomer here, but like straight up, it really is starting to look dystopian. The whole thing with these data centers is it's just like all these mega corporations that are pursuing AI are like building these mass data centers that are like going to be insane for the power grid, and they draw so much power and they're so resource hungry, and it's in the name of the proliferation of AI and the anticipation of that. And it's like I don't know, man. I was looking, I watched like this whole video on it. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this is fucking crazy. Dude, yeah, it's like Metal Gear Solid 4, bro. I'm like, Kojima did it again. It's scary. And Omen 86 was like, you know what? The cat's a little scary looking. We'll do a super sticker of the dog. The dog looks better, I have to admit. There's something about that cat that doesn't look quite right with that super sticker. Like, it looks like shiny or something. And I don't know. Freaking me out. I like the dog better. The poop emoji is the best, though. And they'll tell us not to run our clothes. Exactly. Lost Isley. Exactly. That's the shit that's like, it's beyond dystopian, where they'll open these data centers and these corporations they'll strike like private agreements, like, you know, sweetheart agreements and shit with electric companies and power companies. And in turn, it's just ultimately going to serve to, like, let's just face it, like, fuck over the regular person, just the average person, right? Where they're going to be like, hey, you're using too much electricity, buddy. All right. Yeah. Don't run your dryer during peak hours. Meanwhile, you got these fucking data centers that are like sucking up everything. It's like, it's crazy. Like, that is already happening. Like, that's actually happening. And it's true what they say, man. Like, look, I know I play games, and you know I'm a PlayStation fan. You know I love PlayStation games, but at the end of the day, you always have to be anti-corporation. Yeah, we're living in the Final Fantasy VII timeline, bro. You have to be anti-corporation. I know some, you know, maybe I'm people laugh at me for saying that because it's like, well, why are you supporting Sony, bro? Listen, I like my PlayStation, all right? I like my PlayStation games. You know that. You know I like my trophies. We all have our shortcomings, but just generally speaking, man, it's scary. What I'm trying to say is it's actually scary to see how powerful corporations are becoming. It's actually scary because the truth is Sony is lower, much lower on the totem pole. A lot of companies are lower on the totem pole, but you're talking about companies like Amazon, you know, and I mean, Microsoft is up there. Microsoft, they're proliferating. Microsoft's probably building a shit ton of data centers as well. You know, companies like Apple. I mean, it's scary, dude. It's scary, and I don't know where it's headed. I don't know where it's headed. I just see shit like this popping up, and I'm like, what are we doing? I don't know. My water heater has a safety feature where if it's too hot outside, the hot water just stops working. It's annoying. Bismarck's like, I can understand the trophy hunting. Sony gave us so much, the Walkman, the CD, Blu-ray. It's part of the modern world. They still make Walkmans, dude, which is crazy. With Elon Musk's robots, it's going to be like the Will Smith movie, I, Robot. I mean, I just, listen, man. I just try to remind people, and this is just the way it is, right? We don't know what consciousness is. We have a concept, right? Like we have a concept of like consciousness. Yes, you're conscious, you're self-aware. When I say we don't know what it is, what I mean is like science cannot quantify it, or like we can't isolate it. We can't show you the equation that creates consciousness. Consciousness just is, and like many other things that just are, and we observe them, we can't explain it. We want to. Like, don't get me wrong, science is trying. They're trying. But at the end of the day, we don't know. And that's what I find so fascinating about this point in time where we're aggressively pursuing AI and we're making massive strides while simultaneously pursuing robotics and making massive strides. And it's pretty clear that, like, yeah, we are on that timeline of like, eventually we're going to take the AI and we're going to put it inside of a robot, an android that is going to be mirrored after. It's going to, we are basically playing God right now, ultimately. Like, we are going to create an artificial, seemingly living, it depends on what your definition of living is. We're going to create this artificial thing that, is going to be created in our image to an extent. And AI is absolutely created in our image. AI is a reflection of humanity. And we're going to fuse these things together. And we are going to do so not knowing, not being able to actually explain scientifically or quantify scientifically what consciousness is. I don't think I'm a genius. I think I'm a dumbass. MBG 2025. I'm just saying that, like, I can see that. I just have to look around and be like, can the people who are like in charge of this and pursuing this, can they see that too? Surely they can. Right? Scientists have already created artificial life, not carbon-based. Well, I don't know, man. I just wonder if the future really is basically like, it's something we've seen in fiction, in science fiction, so many times where it's like it is this artificial life. It is AI and an artificial life. It's androids. It's robotics, and they basically are like, yeah, we can think too, and we can feel too, and we believe, we're aware, and we believe we have consciousness. We believe we are conscious. We have a belief, right? Like, we're able to believe. If that day comes, it's like, I'm not saying we're screwed, but it's like, yeah, okay, so what are we going to do about that? Humanity might have a common enemy at that point. I don't know. Like this, I'm not saying it's Terminator, but I'm just saying it's kind of Terminator. I'm just saying I think James Cameron, to a degree, may have been onto something. It's starting to look that way. It's really starting to look that way. Skynet, not 1997. Skynet's not going to become aware in 1997. It's going to be 2047. That's what's going to happen. Or Horizon. There you go. Yeah. Mrs. MBG would hate me saying this, but we know less about the mysteries of the jungle than MBG's yard. Dude, I forgot to tell you, I cleared out like the side of my garage, dude, 2.5 weeks ago. Yeah, it was as bad as I thought. Fucking nightmare, dude. Like, I was out there with this like 22-inch fucking trimmer, and I'm like, fucking chainsaw and shit. Well, it wasn't actually a chainsaw, but it was crazy. And yeah, there was all kind, dude. It's such a confined space next to my garage as well that, like, dude, there were so many insects that I'm like, what the fuck is that? I saw a praying mantis though, which was cool. But yeah, that was no joke. I felt like I was gonna die, by the way, when I was done. It was hot out. I was wearing long sleeves because I'm like, I don't know if there's poison ivy back here. And I definitely pushed my body too far. I'm like, I'm going to die. I thought I was gonna die. Like, truthfully, I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna die out here. But you know, I was like, maybe it's okay because, you know, Mrs. MBG will come on the channel and tell everybody how I went out, and it's like, sounds about right. MBG was talking about it for years. He knew he was gonna have to go to battle, you know. But yeah, man versus jungle. The jungle won. It's like literally just the side of a garage. Oh, I saw a mouse too, by the way. Yeah, that was weird. So I had these like concrete, I don't know what you call them. I'm sure there's a name for them, but they're like these concrete red, like circular things that you place on the ground. I don't know what the actual name of them is, but they were leaned up against the garage and they're really heavy. And I went to go like pull one out, and it was just this fucking mouse just sitting there, and it just like freaked out and spazzed out, and it like looked at me and then like jumped up and ran away, and I was like, what the you know? I just wasn't expecting that. Like, I almost dropped it on it. I almost killed a mouse accidentally in like a very brutal way. So it was a whole adventure, man. Definitely, if I ever would have filmed that shit, some entertaining content right there. Did you hear about some squirrels in cities found eating other creatures? No. What does that mean? Couldn't you just use Kratos, his blades, to burn the bushes? Yeah, well, people have suggested so many times, like, just burn it, and I'm like, you can't do that because you can't burn poison ivy. It creates a toxic fume that will kill you, actually. So just a heads up. If you're ever dealing with poison ivy, never burn it. Never burn it. It's extremely dangerous. And you're at high risk of hurting yourself or somebody else. But the more you know, Omen. We need a yard stream. Bro. It's so funny, dude. It's so, like, because I'm just like trying to visualize myself out there. I'm proud of the work I did, though. Like, it was not easy, dude. It was a lot of shit. It was a lot. Like, you couldn't walk. You couldn't see anything. And I had to do a lot of raking as well. And the amount of shit that I raked was like, just the pile that I made. I'm like, how is this even possible? So I hope, you know, and I sprayed it down with some chemicals after that. I'm like, I don't want this shit coming back. So I hope it stays gone for a long time. Still not finished 100% though. Still got the general perimeter of the yard that I got to work on. And then I still got that giant poison ivy effigy thing that grew above my fence. So like, if this is my fence line, the fence is, you know, it's like a picket fence. Not a picket fence. It's like it's maybe like it's 6 feet, 6.5 feet, maybe 7 feet tall. And if this is the top of it, this effigy, it just like, it's grown like this high, and it's just like, it's like growing off of my fence, and it's like spreading. And I'm like, I don't even know how to, I've talked to you guys about it, like, I don't know what to do about this thing. I don't even know how that's possible. It's crazy. It like I told you, it looks like a freaking Elden Ring or Dark Souls boss or some shit. So one day I'll get around to it. I think I had the tools to get the job done now. I mean, I know you cut it. I'm kidding, but it's just like it's to be honest, it's ridiculous is what it is. It's like I can't even believe I have to climb on a ladder and cut this shit down because it fucking grew off of my fence. Like it's grew upwards. How? I just don't understand how that's possible. Like I don't know how the laws of physics allow that to happen. Anyway, I don't know how I got on this. Capcom blaming Sony. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Capcom's out here blaming Sony, bro. Imagine MVG going berserk with a machete. You don't want to see me going berserk with a machete. I'm going to end up hurting myself real bad. Real bad. All right. So I will. So yeah, basically, let me just. Hold on. Okay. To wrap up and summarize, by the way, this topic that we were talking about regarding the next gen consoles. Yeah. So we have, because I really just went like down a rabbit hole, that deep discussion, but this came from the NeoGAF forums, and it's Kepler L2. What makes that Xbox chip AMD announce then? I'm confused. Kepler says Magnus will be used for both Xbox console and Xbox PC, but only the console has backwards compatibility. I forgot to mention this with this report. For those wondering, like what's going on with backwards compatibility, you're going to have all these Xbox devices. Only the home, like the main console for Microsoft, is going to have backwards compatibility with console Xbox games. This is the reason why they're not able to make it happen with the Xbox ROG Ally X, and they won't be able to make it happen with other PC devices, even though this device from Microsoft will mostly be a PC. It'll still kind of walk that line just close enough. Remember when the devs were blaming the Series S and a certain group said, no, it's the devs, but now the devs are blaming PlayStation all of a sudden? It's not the devs. Oh, I know, digital dude. Trust me. Preaching to the choir, bro. Preaching to the choir. What else did Kepler say? Hold on. So he says Xbox PC is just branding for a gaming-focused PC, i.e. because Magnus CPU is actually quite weak versus average desktop/laptop CPUs. That's interesting. This person says they won't just port Xbox games to, or Heisenberg FX4 says they won't just port Xbox games to PC. It's a licensing nightmare. So I'm just scrolling through the thread and trying to read everything they said. Most publishers are still not okay with Play Anywhere, and the vast majority of them would sue the fuck out of Microsoft if they tried turning Xbox game licenses into PC licenses. Outside of some weird Xbox/Windows dual boot legal gray area, there's just no way for Microsoft to get Xbox backwards compatibility games on PC. Kepler also says the other way around. Somebody says, so are you confirming the console won't support PC gaming? Kepler says the other way around. Supporting PC, Steam, GOG, etc. games on Xbox shouldn't really have any legal issues, and even on a technical level shouldn't be too hard since it can run inside of VM. The big issue with third-party store support is the business model, since without a guaranteed 30% cut on every game, they need to sell hardware at a profit. that combined with Xbox Magnus being a very large APU, it could mean the Xbox Series X2, which is what he calls it, might be twice the price of the PS6 or thereabouts. So again, this is coming from somebody who knows like what AMD is doing with Xbox behind the scenes. So there you go. We have Akiuchi Yu. I don't know if I said that correctly. I'm sorry if I destroyed it. You're saying Ratchet, The Matrix, GTA 6 showcased the massive graphical leap from PS4 to 5, way better than Horizon Forbidden West. Those games, geometry, lighting, way beyond PS4. It's not just the resolution FPS leap. Neither, and you're saying it won't be that for the PS6 either. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that Matrix demo. That was kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think we do see like these glimpses, and Ratchet was really impressive too. We see these glimpses, I think, into like, damn, there's actually like a lot more we can do. And you know what I'm doing? Like, truthfully, you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to set the bar low. I am. And the reason why I'm doing that, I'm trying to set the bar low and set my expectations lower because I'm at a point where I'd rather just be surprised, you know? Like, I'd rather go in assuming that what I'm going to see from Sony with the PS6 are just even better looking PS5 Pro games. And if they come out and they're like, yeah, here's Spider-Man 3 on a PS6 and Naughty Dog's new game on a PS6 and Bloodborne remake or something, and I'm just like, okay, what am I can't even believe, like, I can't believe what this looks like. I'd rather go into, like the showcase for the PS6 with a lower expectation in terms of what I'm going to see graphically. But I am aware that there is more that can be done. And you're right. Maybe I used Horizon. Maybe that wasn't the best game to use to kind of like, talk about the differences in what people are going to be looking for and what we want to see. Like, dude, Demon Souls is not on PS4. It's not to say that it couldn't run on PS4. It is a PS3 game. But visually, right? Like in terms of visuals and like just how insane a game can look, like Demon Souls is still one of the best looking games. It came out at the launch of the PS5 and it's like, this game looks insane. And I'm trying to imagine if like, I don't know if this is going to happen. I keep mentioning Bloodborne, but I try to imagine like Sony comes out with the PS6 launch event and they announce a Bloodborne remake for PS6. Like what could that look like? I could see them blowing my mind. Absolutely. I could see that being like, holy shit, I didn't think this was even possible for a game to look this good. But, I kind of just want to leave that to Sony, right? Omen with a super chat says, I'm out playing Behemoth on VR2. Have a good one. Well, Omen, enjoy yourself, man. And thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out, watching the content, and for supporting as well. Thank you for the super chats and thank you for the member gifts. Enjoy some gaming, bro. And yeah, with that being said, Omen helped get us to 91 members. Guys, we are 9 away. Because we're so close, I'm going to push and encourage, to see if we can get to that 100 mark. That would be incredible. And I also want to make sure to let you guys know to hit that like button. Michael Warneth was here earlier encouraging us. He dropped 50 memberships for you guys because you guys hit 100 likes. So you should be proud of yourselves for that. But yeah, if you haven't already, continue to hit that like button. It's been helping. You doubt we see Bloodborne ever again? There's just no chance. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I want to go over this report with you guys, though. This is coming from VGC. And they say, in an interview which was held in May but just published this weekend, Haruhito Sugimoto, I guess I said his name correctly, I don't know, was asked about the release of Monster Hunter Wilds and its initial sales of 10 million units in the first month of release. Sugimoto said the goal of 10 million units in the first month was an internal one at Capcom. So, in that respect, the sales were on track. But he also noted that continuing to build on these sales could be trickier given the price of buying current gen hardware. Replying to a question about having to build on that initial 10 million, Sugimoto replied via machine translation, quote, "That's correct. However, we have also found that the barriers to the PS5 are unexpectedly large. The console costs around 80,000 yen, or $540 equivalent in US dollars. Factoring in the cost of software and monthly subscriptions, it comes to around 100,000 yen, or $675 at the time of purchase. This is not an easily affordable price, especially for younger generations. The situation is not limited to Japan, but also similar overseas. Our next challenge is to overcome these barriers and get Monster Hunter Wilds to more people. Sales and other events will begin in the future, so we are currently developing a strategy to take advantage of these opportunities to boost sales throughout the year." Sugimoto then acknowledges the Switch 2, saying its success at a relatively lower price point shows that affordability is still crucial for customers. He did not hint at a potential Monster Hunter Wilds port for Switch 2, however, and yeah. So this is well, it says here in the months since this interview was published, Sugimoto was originally held. Capcom has struggled to continue momentum for Monster Hunter Wilds, selling only 477,000 copies between April and June. Capcom acknowledged in its financial results in July that sales for Monster Hunter Wilds had been soft for the period, but attempted to put a positive spin on it by pointing out sales figures elsewhere in its catalog. Now, I wanted to highlight this because I'm not going to lie. I feel like this is fascinating to see Capcom basically blame the price of the PS5. Like, essentially blaming the price of the PS5 and being like, yeah, it's too expensive and it's a barrier, right? I feel like this is a bit of a cop-out, I'll be honest. And this isn't me. I know it comes off as I'm defending the PS5. It's not so much that as much as I just think that this is simply not true. Like, I really mean that. I think based off of what I've heard and what I've seen, there are some problems with Monster Hunter Wilds. In fact, I've seen a lot of people reacting to this not so positively. Like, I've seen people basically expressing frustration that they're actually, like, you know, that the CEO seems a little bit out of touch, or like he's trying to place the blame where it doesn't belong, where it's like, no, there are problems with Monster Hunter Wilds you need to acknowledge. Like, for example, I want to see if I can find it on I thought I had it up. Here we go. So on the PS5 subreddit regarding this exact topic, the top reply is it's much, much more expensive having a PC that is able to run Monster Hunter Wilds. And it seems like what this person is trying to point out is that this game requires quite a bit, you know, hardware-wise, to get good performance or even decent performance. And, you know, we know the game's not on PS4. And it sounds like if they wanted to backport this game to PS4, or if they wanted to do a Switch 2 port, there's a lot of people who are like, there's just no way that's going to happen without it being just a complete shit show. So, you know, I guess at the end of the day, like, I'm not really sure what they would do. But I've also seen people basically saying, like, for example, this person on Reddit says, even if the sales have been slow since launch, I'm extremely confused how they are unhappy with 10 million lifetime sales. Like, Wilds sold better in a month than Resident Evil 4 Remake did in a whole year. Monster Hunter World sold 15 million after like 2 years. How could you be disappointed with Wild sales? Somebody replies by saying, sorry, stockholders wanted 20 million. The only reasonable option now is to lay off the entire dev team. Somebody does point out here, though, they do a breakdown. They say they were happy with the initial 10 million sales. They're unhappy about how the game performs after that initial 10 million. Monster Hunter is supposed to be an evergreen franchise where sales stay steady for at least 1 year and then get another boost from the Master Rank expansion. So launch 6 million, first quarter 2 million, second quarter 2 million, third and fourth quarter 2 million. That was for Monster Hunter World. For Rise, launch 4 million, first quarter 2 million, second quarter 2 million, third and fourth quarter 2 million. But Wilds, 10 million launch, less than 500K in the first quarter. And so I got to ask you guys, because I don't know how many players here, I don't know how many of you guys are playing Monster Hunter Worlds or Wilds and, maybe played it at launch, walked away, or still playing it. What's going on here? Like, something's going on with this game, because when you look at that data, okay, I'm looking at this data. I think it's just front loaded, but I'm just asking players, is there something about Monster Hunter Wilds that is a major turnoff or something to people? I mean, I played Monster Hunter World, and I can tell you that I didn't play Monster Hunter Wilds because I didn't want to get back into it. Truthfully, it took me forever to get a real firm grasp on Monster Hunter World. I got every achievement in it when I played it, and then I walked away from it. And then when I saw Wilds, I'm like, this looks cool, but I don't know if I want to go through that again. So that's just me. But there's nothing wrong with the game. It's just greedy stockholders that are never satisfied. Well, see, that's what's interesting. I think it is that. I think it is the greed from shareholders, because Monster Hunter World, 6 million at launch, 2 million in the first quarter. So that's 8 million. And then 2 more million in the second quarter. That's 10 million. And then in the third and fourth quarter, another 2 million combined. It's 12 million. I'm like, dude, you're almost there. If it took you 1 year to get to 10 million, no, 1 year to get to 12 million with Monster Hunter Worlds, and you were at 10 million after 1 quarter with Wilds, yeah, dude, I don't know how you could be that upset. I understand that maybe it's well, we should, we just want more. We should have done more, but it's I don't know. Although maybe there is a valid concern, though, to be fair. And maybe the valid concern is the fact that the drop is so dramatic. Because I won't deny, greed aside, 10 million at launch and then 470,000, less than 1 million the next quarter, that I could see how that could cause some concern, where it's wait, is this not even going to be able to get to 12 million? I could understand that, but I don't know, man. I just feel regardless of what your expectations for your franchise are, I think you just have to keep perspective of dude, 10 million's fucking nuts. 10 million's huge. I don't know. Wilds had a mixed reception from the start. Felt a low budget cash grab, and the mechanics in the game are god awful, really. Pandemic sales have shareholders begging for that big sales increase. Yeah, the pandemic really fucked everything up. I mean, that's an understatement. There are some performance issues on mid to low end hardware, but that's about it. Everything else is pretty much on par or better than the previous games. Okay, that's interesting. Adama the Dragoon, what you're saying compared to what 0 Point's saying. Looks like polar opposites. Someone at Capcom is writing checks their ass can't cash. Yeah, you're probably right, Ray. Someone sounds scared, dude. Well, I just, I think more copies of Monster Hunter World would be sold? You know what? Really quick, I want to acknowledge something he said. Something he's saying here that maybe I'm overlooking. So when he gave his quote in his answer, he was specifically referencing the PS5 in Japan. And there's no denying that the PS5 has pretty much hit a wall in Japan. It's not really selling anymore. Maybe there is a certain disappointment there where the expectation was the PS5 was going to sell better than it did in Japan, and it didn't. And the Japanese audience, maybe they were very reliant on the Japanese market for this game. And maybe that is it. Maybe it's, but then again, he does say it's the same case with all the other regions. So it's like, generally speaking, it's like, well, bro, you have, and for those wondering why he's mentioning PS5 and not other platforms, even though this game is on other platforms, he's mentioning PS5 because I think it was confirmed that the PS5 is the lead platform for it. I mean, it just feels like a kind of bad excuse when it's like, okay, well, how many PS5s are out there in total? Over 80 million or about 80 million, right? Okay. How many Xbox Series consoles are out there? 25 to 28 million. So that's over 100 million people that you can potentially sell Monster Hunter Wilds to. Then you factor in PC, specifically Steam. How many Steam users are there? You see what I'm saying? It's like, I just think it's kind of absurd almost to like, really? Like, you're dissatisfied with the midterm sales of Monster Hunter Wilds, and somehow it's the PS5 price's fault. That's, I don't know, man. Something's just not adding up there, in my opinion. Monster Hunter's currently $30 on GameFly if you guys want to buy it. Yo, are you fucking serious? I'm like literally on that checking right now. Hold on. Let's see. Used bestsellers. Oh, you're right. Doom the Dark Ages. Yo, they have Elden Ring Night Rain for $25. I need to price this shit. So Monster Hunter Wilds. How much is Monster Hunter Wilds outside of GameFly? GameStop pre-owned 45. Green Man Gaming 57. Dude, I think I'm gonna buy that. The cheapest I found it so far when Googling it and going under shopping is $39 on eBay. And you got, dude, GameFly is, I'm telling you, you can get games for like a steal. Now, they're used, but realistically, it's like, dude, they were shipped out to somebody used for a week and then shipped back. Like they're basically not used, $30. That's great. Yeah. They also have what? Elden Ring Night Rain for $25. How much? If I go under shopping, Elden Ring Night Rain, $38 at Best Buy, $40 at GameStop, G2A, $37. That's crazy. Let me double check Amazon. You can get some games for a freaking steal at GameFly under the used section. On Amazon, Elden Ring is $45. Dude, what? No, I didn't play Elden Ring Night Rain. I just, it seemed like too much for me. What other games do they have here? Hold on. They got Doom the Dark Ages, $35. This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. Doom the Dark Ages right now on GameFly for PS5 is being sold for $35. If you go to Google, type in Doom the Dark Ages, go under shopping, the PlayStation Store pops up. Doom the Dark Ages premium upgrade, $35. This game is not being sold for any less. Okay, here we go. Hold on. If you are willing to shop from eBay, somebody is selling right now with free delivery Doom the Dark Ages PS5, $20. So somebody's really looking to offload that copy on eBay. So maybe, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it seems like they're rivaling like prices you would only expect to see on eBay. That's a crazy steal. $20. $20. Somebody's got to buy that. They have Star Wars Outlaws, $20. Now I'm just curious. Star Wars Outlaws PS5. What's this going for now? Okay, that's not too bad. Seems like you can get it for about $30. So if they make you pay for shipping, you're probably, that's not too crazy. Let me, I'm going to replay this because it didn't come through.
Wild's word of mouth is horrendous. This is a franchise that always relied on people praising it and inviting people to the community.
Interesting. Well, we have Inu coming in, dropping a $10 direct donation. Thank you so much for that. And they're saying that apparently there's no word of mouth for Monster Hunter Wilds. And this is coming. I mean, look, I don't know your gaming history, but you sound like somebody who's definitely a Monster Hunter player and fan. That's interesting to me. I wonder why that is. Like, I wonder why, if it's lacking a positive word of mouth, and that's something that really helped boost sales, maybe it's because of the co-op aspect. That's what I'm figuring. It's the idea that it's a very, you know, it's a game that's deeply entrenched in co-op and multiplayer and playing with friends and playing with people. And if it's not getting that positive word of mouth, you know, you could see how it could have some kind of negative trajectory for the sales, but also how it could have such a positive influence. Because like positive word of mouth for a single player game can go a long way. Positive word of mouth for a multiplayer game, as we see with like something like Helldivers 2, goes a very long way. Like that can be the difference maker. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, you almost get the sense when looking at the fall off, 10 million up front, less than 500K the next quarter. You almost get the sense that the word of mouth is negative, you know, that people are like, bro, like this isn't actually that good. Don't buy this. I don't know. It's, yeah, they got Mind Zion here for $30. Silent Hill 2 remake, $30. Well, thank you for that direct donation. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. I'm a Capcom fan. I like Capcom a lot. Not the biggest Monster Hunter fan, you know. But I guess we'll just have to see what they end up doing with Monster Hunter. They might just have to accept. That this is it, you know? Like this is as good as it's going to get for Wilds anyway. New Astrobot controller incoming. Yeah, I saw that. I wonder what the reactions from people are. Not that I cared that much, but I am a little bit curious. I saw that they put out a trailer for it. Let me bring it up. Let's watch the trailer for the new Astrobot controller. Oh, shit. Hold on. I don't even have it up on screen.
What did you say your name was?
PlayStation
I was muted. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't say it. Don't type it. Don't type it. Don't type muted. Don't type muted. I don't want to see it. I'm not muted anymore. Dude, there's nothing worse than seeing a tidal wave of muted when you realize it's just too late. It's too late. Sorry. I was just saying it's only 16 seconds long. It's just 16 seconds long. Let's see what people are saying. I'm sure the scalpers will really enjoy these. We get more controllers than games. Well, I mean, shit, man. We get more controllers than games. That's rough. That's rough. I thought this was already out. Yo, wait. Hold on. What are the replies? It's a re-release of the controller with a slight twist. I got my old one right in front of me, and the two eyes are full circles on mine. The new trailer shows half circles. Wow, the Astrobot controller returned somehow. Just make the eyes dynamically move, unless this one does. Sony bring Astrobot Rescue Mission to PSVR 2. All right. Somebody says, I'm looking forward to getting another shot at getting this controller. I missed it last time. I don't see a problem with this at all. Like, yeah, give people another chance. I think the Astrobot controller is actually one of the coolest ones they've released. So I think doing like a re-release but with a slight alteration, you know, not a problem. Not a problem. Don't engage in the comment section. Too late. Oops. Astrobot is such a great game, dude. My son loves Astrobot. He really does. Let me come back here. I think Sony's going to try, we were talking about the PlayStation 6 earlier. And we were talking about the PlayStation handheld. Mrs. MBG mentioned this to me yesterday because we were talking about it a little bit. Because I was like asking her if she's like excited or at the idea of like a portable PlayStation or whatever. And she was like, "Well, it'll be cool to see like what they do with Astro there." And like what she was pointing out is that like Sony's what they've kind of been doing. Their pattern is they use Astrobot to showcase new hardware. And I'm like, oh, dude, they might have. I don't know if it'll be exclusive to. I don't know how they would handle that. Like, you know what I could see them doing? They'll have Astrobot 2 ready to go for the PS6 as like a launch title or a launch window title. But if you buy the handheld, you get like an exclusive version of Astro's Playroom that's just for the handheld to showcase that hardware. I don't know. It's just speculation. It might send the wrong message, though. It might convince people that, oh, I guess this thing's getting its own exclusives. But it just makes me wonder, like, if they're going to leverage Astro to try to showcase this handheld. Because you would think that that's what they'll do. In September 2024, PS5 in Japan sold over 6 million units. Am I wrong about the PS5 not doing well in Japan? I thought sales of the PS5 in Japan basically by this point, because I mean that's last year. But I think since then they've kind of tanked, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misinformed there. Make an ad where Astrobot is a PS6 and the handheld PS6 Goldmine. Astro is for sure going to Switch 2. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Like, dude, listen. It could happen. I had somebody leave a comment. I know it's Twitter and Twitter doesn't matter, but it's just funny to me. We're like, dude, I posted this question on Twitter and I asked, oh, by the way, really quick, an update. I just saw this from Shinobi602 on Twitter. It says, and I guess this is being reported by Windows Central, Helldivers 2 is the #1 paid game on the Xbox store. So we were talking about 600,000 sales. I was saying I think Sony's maybe good with that. Like they might see that as that's good. I speculated that there's a chance this game will sell more over time on Xbox, like it did for PS5, like it did for PC. I'm wondering if they're going to hit that million mark, dude. And if they hit the million mark, I think that will be considered like just straight up like that's a success. That's a success. 1 million. But it's the #1 paid game right now. What? Sorry, hold on. All right. I put out this post and it was a simple question because I'm curious. I said, would you buy the PS6 if it's priced at $600 at launch? And this is, listen, this is what I think is funny. I should have mentioned this earlier, and I apologize for not bringing this into the conversation earlier when we were talking about the next gen Xbox. This person says, I won't buy one at all. I'm buying the new Xbox. Getting a PS6 for one exclusive a year that will be playable on Xbox 6 months later is kind of silly. Plus, Game Pass is unstoppable. I mean, clearly that's a fanboy. But what's funny to me about that is like the presumptuousness of it, you know? And there are people like, again, it's Twitter. What do you expect on Twitter? It's a cesspool, but people are agreeing with this, and it gives you the notion or can convince you that this is how a lot of people feel. What's comical to me about this is like, you're presuming to know the price of this box. You're presuming that when this Xbox console comes out, Sony's going to have a 6-month exclusivity window on every one of their games for PC/Xbox. Dude, I think some people are in for disappointment. I'm ready to be wrong about that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think you got to be a little bit delusional right now at this time, September 2025, to assume that if you buy the next Xbox for, again, what could potentially be twice the price, that every 6 months, that you just got to wait 6 months and you'll get Sony's games. I don't know where that comes from. And this is, I have to call it, if not delusion, an unrealistic amount of, I mean, you could call it hopium, you know? Like, truthfully, you could call it hopium. Because it's like, dude, where are you getting that? And I just wonder about this. Like, I'm serious. Like, this is where, and just out of curiosity, I went on this person's profile, and one of the posts that they had was, I think it was clearly a made up rumor. You can't find it on the Gaming Leaks Rumor subreddit, but it was like a made up rumor by somebody on Twitter where they were like, Nixxes is in the process of porting Spider-Man to Xbox. And this is what I mean, where it's like, it's gotten so crazy in some of these areas. Thank you for that, Jake Skew. I appreciate that. I'll go check on that. It's gotten so crazy in some of these areas and some of these circles on the internet where it's like they're just saying things. Like they're literally just making things up And they're practicing that cognitive dissonance where it's like, if we all just agree and believe, then it must be true. And it's like, there's literally zero indication, and I mean zero, that you're going to get a PlayStation game 6 months after launch. I say that because the most you could say based off of what Sony has done for their single player games is you can wait a year and 3 months. That's the farthest, that's the closest gap that they've done. To assume that they're going to have a PC version ready 6 months after launch is also presumptuous just from a development standpoint. Just from even if Sony wanted to launch their game on PC 6 months after it launches on PS5, you got to know by now how development timelines go for a lot of these games. It's probably going to take longer than that, even if they rush it. It's just like, dude. And I want you to keep in mind that, like, this was me just simply asking if somebody would buy a PS5 at a $600 price point. It had nothing to do with Xbox. Now, the good news is I said to this person in response, I said, you're excited to play PlayStation games? Me too. And they said, yeah. And see, what's the beauty here is that there is a common ground. This person left a big reply and they were like, I love Sony's games. I'm absolutely going to play Sony's games. I'm not going to miss out on them. And, you know, I think they might end up having to wait a lot longer than they think to get a lot of these games. But hey, man, I can get behind that. I'm in the same boat. And I just think it's going to be, this is one of those angles where it's like, you know, Sony puts Helldivers on Xbox. Sony drops their games on PC well after their PlayStation launch. And now people are kind of waiting and they're clamoring and they're assuming that, well, you know, I guess, like, if I buy the next Xbox, I'll have all the PlayStation games. It's like, well, you're buying a PC and you're going to experience the exact same, unless Sony makes a complete change, which they could, and we'll talk about it if they do. I don't think they will, though, but they could. Never say never, right? You're probably just going to be experiencing the same thing that PC players are experiencing right now, which is buy the powerful hardware, the expensive hardware, and wait. And when it happens, enjoy it. And that's fine. But I'm just curious. I'm curious to see, because I mentioned the price point of the PS6 being $600. It's like $600, I think. I should have just called him a port beggar. Well, I'm trying to be a little bit more respectful. Even if some people aren't going to show me the same respect, I want to try to be a little bit more respectful because I want to show people that there can be a common ground. Even if we're in disagreement. Like, everything that person listed as a reason not to get a PS6 is, I feel the opposite. Like, I don't care about Game Pass. I'm not going to buy the next Xbox. At least there's a really good chance I'm not going to. Like, I'm all in on the PS6, especially if it's $600. If it's $600, I'd be shocked. But you know, this person wasn't rude to me. So it's like, you know, I was just hoping to reveal a common ground. And the common ground I revealed is we can both agree that we're excited to play Sony's games. Some of them anyway, right? Cool. And there you go. Like, we can agree to disagree. You know, you won't buy the PS6 for $600. I will. But we'll both be looking forward to those games. And I think that, you know, that's how we should lead these discussions. Or at least that's the direction we should try to go into when we're having discussions like this. I think it's much more productive. But yeah, I do think it is incredibly presumptuous. I don't agree with that. I don't think you're going to be getting PS games 6 months later. You know what I mean? You're saying Boomstick owns a PlayStation 5 and he still is port begging for PlayStation games to come to Xbox. Yeah, well, I think some people are, especially like Xbox-oriented people, I think they're doing that because they want Sony and Microsoft to be on the same page. And I get it. We're pretty close to that. You have, again, Helldivers on Xbox, Gears on PlayStation, but I just think people also need to understand that like Sony still has a specific strategy in place. Microsoft's strategy is also specific, but it's much more it's much wider, you know? Like it's just a much more horizontal based strategy with pretty much no barriers at this point. Sony is trying to move in a more horizontal direction, but while maintaining certain barriers. And I just think people would do well to acknowledge that. And, you know, it's fine to make assumptions and it's fine to speculate, but sometimes I do think that people do that in an effort to make it seem like, you know, like what are the ponies gonna do when it happens? Like I don't know, man. Like I'm a PlayStation fan. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna flip my desk over, punch holes in my wall, and tear everything down. No, I'm just kidding. Am I though? Am I kidding? Is it a joke? Stay tuned. And we have Jake Skew coming in. Yeah, Jake, I'm going to go check that email you sent me. I appreciate that, man. Jake Skew comes in, drops another single member gift. Guys, he brings us to 92. He wants to get a single train going. Jake Skew believes that we can get to 100. I believe we can get to 100 because we are now just 8 away.
Thank you. Appreciate
Jake,
it.
thank you for that, buddy. Here, I'll make it easy for you guys. We get to 100, we'll wrap this stream up very soon, and we'll go get that platinum for Death Stranding 2. What do you think? 8 more? 100? Does it sound like a good deal? I think it's a good deal. And Lady Gamer comes in. Lady Gamer says, you know what? I like that deal. Let's do it. Drops another single. And just like that, we're at 93. 7 away. Can you gift memberships on mobile? Khalifist, you can unless you're on iPhone. Now, if you're on iPhone, or if you're on iPad or whatever, I'm assuming it's like iPhone, the workaround is you would have to go on Chrome, on Google Chrome, and go to YouTube through that, you know? So there is an option, and some people do that. I know it's a pain, but some people do that. If they really want to donate or drop gifts that much, they'll open up Chrome on their iPhone and navigate to YouTube that way, which I very much appreciate, the fact that some people go that far out of their way. But yeah, we're at 93 members, guys. We are very close. So I'll keep encouraging. And we're at 171 likes. Guys, this is incredible. That's really good. Like, that's really, really good. Michael should do that more often. If he can afford to. Because that's a really good tactic. He asked people to hit a certain number of likes and they drop member gifts. And it definitely helped. Good shit. Let me go check something here real quick. Yeah, okay. Great. All right. I guessed it right. I guessed what phone you have. Sony Ericsson phone. Yo, guys, I'll be right back. I just got to go grab a drink. Hold on. Thank you for waiting, guys. I'm like parched. And Raven X0 comes in. He dropped the gift as I was gone. He did it for the chair, bro. He comes in, he drops 2 for you guys. Raven X0 drops 2 member gifts and gets us to 95. And just like that, we're just 5 away, man. Raven, thank you so much for that, buddy.
Thank you.
He's
Appreciate
trying to
it.
set you guys up for it. Let's get a Herman Hulse.
This is an incredibly exciting time for PlayStation.
It is. It is, because I'm about to platinum Death Stranding 2, man. I can feel it. Petrov says, W, feed the beast, member train. I am streaming the State of Play tomorrow, yeah. I don't really have, like, crazy expectations or anything. I'm just curious to see. I'm just curious to see if the game looks like a game I'm going to want to play. I'm not really the biggest James Bond fan. Never really got into James Bond that much. But, you know, if the game looks good, I'll play it. Butcher, what's up, man? Yeah, I know, dude. We had a lot of support today on the stream. A lot of people coming in, dropping memberships. I was saying if we get to 100, we're at 95. I was saying if we get to 100, we'll wrap this stream up and we'll go finally get the platinum for Death Stranding 2. We buy Xbox Studios games. Have I ever played the Nintendo 64? Perfect Image, is that what you're asking? I have. Yeah. You hate to say it, but it looks like a DEI game. What makes you say that? Oh, you're talking about GoldenEye. I think I played it a little bit growing up, but I don't have like memories of it. Oh, Leia, you just found the salmon. I don't have like memories the same way that other people do, and the really fond memories they have. I don't have many memories with the N64. I know I had it. I remember mainly playing like Mario Kart and Super Smash Bros. These cats love these treats. At least Boss and Leia do. Boss, you had enough. You can't eat this whole bag, man. You're gonna get you're already a little bit overweight. You're gonna get flat out obese. Like, come on. MVG, will tomorrow's State of Play be focused only on James Bond or other games too? No, tomorrow's State of Play, I think to the disappointment of some, is just going to be for James Bond. It's going to be 30 minutes of James Bond. So that's why I'm saying I'm not too hyped for it, but, you know, I'll take what I can get for now. I'm curious. I'll check it out. I was going to be streaming at that time anyway, so it kind of works out. You want a 007 limited edition DualSense? I wonder if they would do something like that. Better than Indiana Jones. The Hitman games are sick. People love the Hitman games. And Raven X0 does it. He was waiting a little bit. He's like, well, maybe I'll see if somebody else will get that 5-bomb. But he was ready. He was locked and loaded. He's like, you know what? If I got to be the one to do it, then so be it. I'm going to do it. Raven X0.
Holy
and everybody else today. Everybody else who dropped support. Incredible work. We hit 100 members. And, man, I really, really, really appreciate that, guys. I'm sorry if I repeat this too much or sound like a broken record, but it just has to be stated that you guys make this possible, man. And I'm very grateful for that. Thank you so much. Have these deep conversations, express our passion for gaming, to be able to do these streams and create the videos and keep the content flowing, grow the community. Thank you so much, really. Whether you're dropping a single gift, 5, 10, 20, 50, it all helps. And even those of you who can't support directly through like super chats or direct donations, if you know, even just hitting the like button, watching the content, engaging, it helps. So thank you all so much. Do some exercises with Boss. I do have to do a couple of reps. Just a couple. I won't go crazy. I'm not going to go crazy with the reps because I want to boot up a second stream where we can finally get the platinum for Death Stranding. Road to Platinum finale? We're paying MBG's mortgage. Well, yeah. I mean, you guys help pay the bills, man. Take care of my family. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I try, try to keep perspective on things. Hey. Hey. You know what they say, you got to count your blessings, right? Boss needs Ozempic. He's going to need it if he doesn't stop. I didn't expect him to like these treats that much. When's the giveaway? Well, not working on a giveaway at the moment, but people have been asking about a Discord. People have been asking for more gameplay streams, more members lounges, and a Discord. And like I said, we'll probably be bringing Morning with the Misses back. I know a lot of people have been asking for that as well. So we did a members lounge yesterday. Again, we hit 100 members today. So if you got gifted a membership and you're looking for more content, go check out that members lounge. We'll have another members lounge probably. If we don't have another members lounge coming this week, it'll either be that or a Metal Gear Solid gameplay stream. Jason Schreier came out with an article about Perfect Dark. Seems like they almost reached a deal with Take-Two to publish the game. Oh, you know what? Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow then. I'm assuming that just came out. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we have some random leaks coming out. Okay. All right, well, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to segue to my outro. The gameplay stream, you don't have to worry. I'm not going to make this Death Stranding gameplay stream members only until it's over. So if you want to catch it live, it's open to everybody. Oh, yeah, Jake, I'm sorry about that. Hold on. Let me double check that. We were talking about sales, PS5 sales in Japan. And Jake Skew sent me an article which came out on August 28th. Let's see. Switch 2 sold 35,000 units. This is between August 18th and August 24th. Switch 2 sells 35,000 units. The PS5 only sold 6,428 units. See, the PS4 sold 13 units. Xbox Series sold 287. See, PS5. Hey, stop that. The PS5 only selling 6,400 units in Japan. I feel like that's not very good. You know? I think it was selling a lot better. So lifetime sales for the PS5 are at 5.7 million. I don't think we have lifetime sales for the Switch 2 yet, though. No, the Switch 2 is at 1.8 million. But, yeah, Switch 2 already at 1.8 million. PS5, 5.7 million. So, yeah, seems like a bit of a struggle there. But I do wonder if that's another reason, by the way, because we talked so much about the PlayStation 6 handheld. I wonder if Sony's really looking to penetrate the Japanese market with that. Butcher, you want the Metal Gear Solid Delta stream later this week? Well, we'll see what happens. Ray, yeah, I'm going to be streaming the State of Play tomorrow. I'm going to be going live tomorrow at my normal time, 12 p.m. Eastern, and we're just going to chat and then go right into the State of Play. But yeah, guys, that is going to do it for today's regular stream. We got through all our topics. I think we had some good discussions and we got some incredible support. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to have a second stream coming out in the next 10 minutes or so. And we're going to boot up Death Stranding 2 and hopefully, it will be the finale. We will get the platinum. It's been a long time coming. So we'll go do that. That stream will be public, and then once that stream wraps up, I'll make it members only. And yeah, do I stream every day? Usually, yeah, I stream quite a bit. There's some weeks where I take a couple days off. always need to take a little break, you know. And we have Adama the Dragoon, a member for 2 months. He says, hopping off to get some work done. Good luck and congrats on the Death Stranding 2 Platinum. Shout out to the awesome community, FXbox. Thank you, Adama. Yeah, the Death Stranding 2 Platinum, I'm eager. I'm eager to get it done, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a member, bro. All right, so before I close it down, I want to once again just thank everybody. If you watched live, thank you for tuning in. If you can't catch the streams live and you watch them later, thank you. I appreciate that viewership as well. Massive shout out to this community, 100 members. That's not an easy feat. You guys continue to support the channel, continue to support the content and the community, and I am forever grateful. I also want to thank everybody who dropped a super chat or a direct donation, or if you just became a member. Thank you guys so much. Also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter, who does the timestamps for the streams. If you guys see Devil Shooter in the comments with those timestamps, show him some thanks. Give him a little bit of love. I know he appreciates it. He does a great job. And that's it. So to everybody who wants to hang out with me in a gameplay stream, I'll see you in a couple minutes. To everybody else, I will see you tomorrow for the stated play. So until next time, guys, take care.